What is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
All right. What is it, Friday night? Must be the Friday Night Radio Baloney Live. I'm your host, Richie Baloney. Man, what a week. Glad to be back. I'm glad you guys waited for me. Trudeau Survivor, Izzy, Chef Rico, Brian, Steve, how you guys doing? Good to see you in the chat already. All right. Well, I shall have an explanation as to what happened this week, which has not been fun at all, but everything's okay. Everything's okay now, but, we'll get to that. But first, let's just get to the menu and see what we're going to be talking about, because we got tons on the menu. There's lots saved up. In fact, there's some stuff I think I just realized I forgot about. I just didn't have time to put in that maybe we'll have to look into. Anyway, I'm going to stop babbling. Look, let's just go through the menu. This is what we're going to be talking about. Hold on. All right. So first off, we got to talk about that crazy dingbat, Billie Eilish, and her brother, which I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying anything. I don't know this. I'm not even speculating. All I'm saying is that it kind of seems like they may be a brother and sister that might have sex with each other. I don't know. I'm not making that claim. I don't even believe that. I'm just saying they kind of act like, Anyway, we're going to talk about that. And, looks like they're going to get sued for their stolen land, which is hilarious. Hilarious. We're going to talk about some ice stuff here. But ice, a little bit on that. We got Tom Homan here, who's always entertaining because he's just he's just so old school. He's just such an old school tough guy who doesn't give a shit. What do we got here? We got some Trump stuff. Trump has now put out an executive order where he can start to purge the deep state, the permanent bureaucracy, the people who've been trying to undermine him at every turn. Now, of course, this is being challenged immediately, of course, but we'll look at that. J.D. Vance has been put in charge, apparently, of investigating fraud in California. Of course, everything he does will be challenged in court as well, and we'll have to go through activist judges and then be appealed. But I mean, I think this is the sort of thing that JD might really enjoy. Actually, we got some stuff on the Epstein stuff. This is not something that, look, 3 million documents, 3 million. I'm not going through all of that. Okay. But there's some stuff that we'll go through as I see it. There's some stuff that needs to be debunked. There's some stuff that's really crazy. And we will go through a bit of that. We're going to do a meme review, of course. Look, Franklin moves into Billie Eilish's house because no one is illegal on stolen land. Franklin knows that. Look, he looks quite happy. All right. Yeah, we got a bunch of memes and stuff. And Mark Carney. I forgot to put anything in about a big story while I was away, was that they've gotten rid of the EV mandate. So we're going to have to get into that, even though I didn't put anything away on that. We're going to talk about Mark Carney, all of his crazy plans, blah, blah, blah. You know the story. We've got Trump tariffs. Jamil Jivani, who's an excellent conservative MP. I really like him. I think he's great. He's gone down because he knows he was a good friends with J.D. Vance at Harvard, I think it was. They both went to together. So he's gone down to try and help. Of course, the left is freaking out. The liberals aren't liking it at all. I guess Team Canada's over. We'll take a look at that and all the other stuff around that. Here's Pierre Poilievre, who really gets in a good burn. He gets in a great burn on Mark Carney in Parliament, and I'm going to show you that. It's very good. He's much better at it than Carney is. Carney's more suited to just being at a board table and just telling people what to do and telling them to shut up and that sort of thing and calling them peasants. The word treason is being used a lot for Alberta separatists. For some reason, they never said that about Quebec. Isn't that weird? Daniel Smith has a response to this, by the way. Woke Canada. So another part of Canada has been renamed to something unpronounceable. Or it would take that. You see that? I mean, it's going to take a while to figure that one. Apparently, it's easy, she says, and it's all great, and this makes perfect sense, according to this fucking retard, this woke retard, which is, I don't know, it's got to be 40%, at least 40% of Canada now is just unrecoverable, irredeemable. Yeah, I'm not saying that. Let's see, what do we got here? Canadian media bias. Well, there's always lots of that, isn't there? And yeah, we'll take a look at some of it because they're awful, just awful. EU, France becoming a third world. We'll take a little bit of a look at that. And it's all very, very predictable. There's France. There you go. There you go. Go for a nice romantic trip to France, to Paris. There you go. Beautiful, beautiful. It's wonderful what they've done. And then we have the last tab of the evening, the last bookmark, which is a bunch of stuff that you guys all sent in, which it took me it felt like 18 hours to go through today when I was getting ready for the stream, but it was actually only about an hour. And there's a bunch of stuff I just couldn't get to. But I got as much as I could, people, as much as I could. Now, yes, and then, of course, we have women's sports. Well, that will be showing throughout the stream. And also, yes, so if you're watching on YouTube, hold on one second. If you're watching on YouTube, please go and subscribe to my new channel, Radio Baloney News. This is the second channel. Hold on a second. There we go. So this is my second channel. It's been around for, I think, about 5 months now. All of the world news, US news, like UK, meme reviews, woke mind virus stuff. That's all going to be on Radio Baloney News now. The second channel. The one you're watching right now is the original Radio Baloney for live streams and Canadian news only. Now, I don't have to tell you, the algorithm, the gatekeepers, they hate me, they hate you. What they fear most of all is us combining our powers and becoming stronger than they can ever imagine. That's why they won't show you my shit on my channel. So you've got to go and do it yourself. All right. So is that everything? Okay. So now, first off, I want to say I'm going to do, because we missed 3 in a row this week, and we're going to do an extra stream tomorrow night. So we're going to do a Saturday stream because I can't do the stream on Sunday again because I made plans a couple weeks ago to have people come over and watch the Super Bowl, okay? I'm sorry, but I'm going to make it up by doing a stream tomorrow night, and we'll do like an extra long one on Monday and Tuesday. I'll try to fit an extra one in as well. I want to thank everybody for coming back after these unscheduled delays. And yeah, let's just get into it. All right. So as everybody knows, we're streaming on Rumble, YouTube, X, and Locals. And when you subscribe to the channel, become a channel member, that's even better. Or just send money for some reason, whatever, and appeal to my greed. These are all great. You get good karma. But the easiest way to get good karma is just like the stream. All you got to do is like the stream. You get free good karma. In these troubled times, you're going to turn your back on that? What, are you crazy? Listen, but when you're one of the first ones, you get extra good karma. Let's find out who gets what tonight. Trudeau Survivor, like number 1 on Rumble. That is because you guys have hung around. You guys have stayed with me now. That's 10 good karma tonight. We're doing extra good karma tonight. In fact, every good karma is double what it would normally be. That's 12 good karma. Sorry, 12 good karma. Izzy, like number 2. That's 11 good karma. Izzy, 11. 11 for you. You've got no worries for at least the next few days. Let's see. Chef Rico got number 3. So that's 10 good karmas for you, my friend. Very happy times. Everybody's happy. All right, now let's just go into the chat. All right. Hold on. Steve got first like on YouTube. Well, that's 12 for you. It's 12 anywhere. If you got it on Locals, on X, that's 12. It adds up. That could be as many as 48 good karmas. Anyway, good to see you, Steve. Being busy the last couple of weeks, Steve says. Well, that's convenient because I was busy all week. Let's see. Brian, how you doing? Good to see you. Carney's auto sector plan is a joke. More taxpayer money for no results. 100%. Steve Tolson says everything Carney does is a joke. 100%. Let's see. All right. Now, let's see. Hold on. Izzy says, you're missed. Hope all is well. Judas Driver says, welcome back, Radio Baloney. Thanks, you guys. Thank you very much. Izzy says, I sure hope we get a coffee ad. Maybe some chocolate. For sure. You know what? I'll make that happen for you guys. Because you're good guys. That's why. Let's see. Shifrico says, number 3, let's get some of that good karma. Everybody loves it. Everybody needs it in these troubled times. Spambot, how you doing? All right. Izzy says, Lib AIDS. What? What? Liberace AIDS? No, it wasn't. No, it had nothing to do with Liberace AIDS. Right? Nothing. I'll tell you guys, I'll get through the chat here, and then I'll tell you what was going on. Everything's fine now. Everything's okay. Let's see. Chef Rico says she's going all Somali. Who is? Who's going all Somali? Let's see. As he says, no, not California. Are you saying California is infested with lib AIDS? Are you talking about liberal AIDS or Liberace AIDS? Because I know that there's a ton of Liberace AIDS in California. Let's see. Rosie, how you doing? 5. That is 8 good karmas. Let's see. Spambot says EV mandates are not gone, just delayed until 2040. Well, the other thing is, too, that they've replaced it with a bunch of other kind of efficiency mandates and things. And it's just, it's all just stuff that's going to wreck the car industry here. It's just not good. And of course, it pisses off the states, too. So they piss off the states by letting in Chinese EVs. But then the credits that they're going to that the taxpayers have to pay for, right? So the credits for the Canadian-made EVs are going to also apply to American-made EV cars as well. So I don't know. None of this really makes any sense. So the Canadian auto industry isn't happy about that, obviously, because now they're going to be competing harder with the American EVs. So none of it's just chaos. Canadian government is chaos. Let's see. Rosie says, good to see you, Richie. Good to see you, Rosie. What does Todd Howell have to say today? Well, I don't know. Let's find out.
It's how you adapt and handle adversity. And when things aren't going well, that's the time where victory is there.
Todd Howell's right. He's always right. Always right. Thanks, Todd. Let's see. Chef Rico asked Richie, is that an indigenous name or is it Norwegian? I don't know. It's just a long string of letters put together. And that's all the place names in Canada are going to be that eventually. Just unpronounceable strings of letters. Let's see. Because, I don't know, like colonialism or something. I don't know. Brian Watson says mainstream media only cares about their paychecks. And I don't think it's just that. I think that they've drank the Kool-Aid. Like they are activists. I think it does mean something to them to lie to the public, to manipulate the public. Let's see. Spambot's mad because his canvasser ID badge still hasn't arrived in capital letters. That's how you know he is pissed. Let's see. Spambot says you could stream the Stupor Ball. I wouldn't even know how I guess I'd have to get it on my computer. Nah, I'm not doing it. Because I want to eat chips as well. So streaming and eating chips, it's not possible. Nobody can do that. That's impossible. Let's see. Spambot says fourth like, thinks he was fourth like. So that would be then 9 good karmas for you. I believe, something like that. Let's see. Rosie says, we missed you. Have you recovered from your surgery? It wasn't me. It was my dad. Was it gender reassignment? Gender reassignment. Wisdom teeth, male enhancement, facelift, bunion, or just no, not that last thing for sure. No, I did not have my Frankenwiener cut off and turned into something gross. Let's see. No, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. I'll get into it in a second. We're almost at the end of the thing here. Inspiration is always Todd Howell. Izzy says, yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Spambot says, apparently there's 15 canvasser applications from Maya Town. Spambot is very excited about Alberta no longer being a part of Canada. And really, if we ask ourselves honestly, really, who can blame him? Who can blame him? What does Todd Howell think?
An absolute legend.
Well, he approves. Jason Uncensored, how you doing? Good to see you. All right, Rosie says, sorry, my sense of humor is warped. No, all right, so here's what happened. No, Sunday night, that's all on me. I just didn't feel well. And I thought, well, Monday I'll do a longer stream. Tuesday I'll do a longer stream. It'll be better if I just rest up tonight. I'll have more energy tomorrow. And then, we had a bit of a scare with my dad. And I spent Monday night and Tuesday night at the hotel across from the hospital. And not fun. Not fun. I mean, this is why I moved back, is in case my folks need me for anything like this. And so I got him back Wednesday night, I don't know, like 7 or something. And he's okay. He's doing okay. And he's doing fine. Still not sure exactly what's wrong, but scary. Scary. I mean, not fun. I tell you what, not fun. Even though we had, we always have a good laugh. We always make fun of everything around us. So, so I'm glad I was there and I was able to go and get him decent food to eat and stuff. And I was right there, and also it was important for me to be there to talk to the doctors and just make sure I got everything straight, because, if you're the one in the hospital, you're kind of frazzled. My dad wasn't sleeping. Like the first night he was in there, they had him in a room with it was 2 people in the room. The other guy was, I swear to God, if you walked in, you would have assumed that it was some sort of archaeological dig and there was like a 4,000-year-old unwrapped mummy in a hospital bed. But that was making noises, like a lot of like haunted house noises. Not a night, not a wink of sleep that night for poor dad. I was over at the hotel. I didn't sleep very well either, to be honest, because I was so worried and stressed out. And then the next day, it wasn't much better, I have to say. But there was one point where I will tell you that freaked me out, because I had been in there in the room with my dad, and I really hadn't slept much the night before. I just couldn't sleep. So I went over in the afternoon. I said, I got to get a couple hours of sleep. All right. So I went back and he's like, yeah, it's okay. He was going to have his sleep too. Or actually, he was watching the soccer game on his phone. I showed him how to watch the soccer on his phone. So I said, will you watch the game? I'm going to go over and just try and get a bit of sleep. So I went over and fell asleep for about an hour. The phone woke me up and I just didn't, it is when you're waking up. I didn't get to the phone in time. So I checked the number. It turned out I didn't recognize the number. I looked it up. It was a hospital number. I called the number back. It didn't go to anything. Then I called my dad. He didn't answer the phone. Now my mind's starting to go crazy. Right now I'm worried. Okay, the hospital called me. Why did they call me? What the hell? My dad's not answering the phone. What the hell's happening? So I raced across the street. And, it's like, wait, the hospital's like a labyrinth. So, it's quite ways to get to it. So I get up there. I like sweating and like panting, get to the room. I step in the doorway and I look, and his bed has been made and all of his stuff is gone. It's like in a movie. You ever seen that scene in the movie where somebody gets to the hospital room and they look and the everything's gone? Like they were never there. And my heart stopped, right? Like I'm just like, oh God damn you world. Anyway, the nurse said, oh no, he's over He had an angioplasty done in that time, right? So, I guess I was gone for a few hours or something, whatever. And I went over and saw him, and he was all right. But it was just like in a movie. It just like it was. I think I'm traumatized by that, to be honest with you, because you know what I'm talking about. Where you get to in the movie, they get to the door, and it's just like they were never there. Everything's just been wiped. It scared the hell out of me. But then it was okay because he was all right. And anyway, they deemed him well enough to go back home, and he's actually all right. He's actually right. So we still don't really know exactly what the problem is. But in any case, I took him in earlier today to have his pacemaker checked out. That's all totally fine. And so I think it's just don't push yourself too hard, because he pushes himself really hard, you know? And he works out like more than most young people do, you know? So I don't know. Anyway, everything's okay. We're all right. And my dad's okay. And so there you go. But it's scary stuff. And then yesterday I was was so relieved that everything was okay. I just didn't do anything all day. I did nothing. All right. So let's get back to the chat here. Oh, Rosie, and yes, while I was in there, I asked if I could just get a quick gender reassignment, and they said, fine, no problem. Fine, no problem. So I'm a man-woman now. A man-woman. I said, I want to keep my male stuff, but I also want to have multiple vaginas all over my body, because that's how I identify. I said, I was born in the wrong body. I'm supposed to have 7 vaginas, but also Beans and Frank. Anyway, just so you guys know, let's see. I'm going to have to sneeze in a second. Chef Rico says, praying for your dad. Thank you very much. Looks like he's okay. So, Izzy says, that's the worst. Oh, crap. Izzy says, worst scene possible. Honestly, it was I was just, that traumatized me. I'm telling you. Oh. All right. Jason says, hopefully Jamil Jivani can help strike a deal with Trump and Vance. Well, that's the hope. Of course, the liberals don't want that. The liberal supporters don't want that, because it's all just politics. They don't even care what happens to Canada. They care about politics, getting elected, and being able to extract every penny from the country that they can. Rosie says, oh my goodness, room cleared fast. New meeting to Burnham and that's, oh God. It freaked me out. Oh God. I'm really sorry to hear about that. That is not fun. That is horrible. Really horrible. I'm really sorry to hear that. Let's see. Brian Watts says, what time show are you talking about for tomorrow night? We'll do it at the same time. We'll do it 7:30. Saturday, 7:30 show. Late show on Saturday. If that's okay, is everybody good with that? Saturday, 7:30 show? Brian Watson says, Carney's doesn't want deal. No, he doesn't want a deal, clearly. If he wanted a deal, he'd do the exact opposite of everything that he does. Izzy says, well, I'm strongly confused and revolted by the thought of Richie with 1 vagina, let alone multiple. Well, you're just going to have to get used to it. I mean, they had a half an hour. The gender doctor had half an hour while I was at the hospital, and he just gave me 7 vaginas. So, I asked for it, and, I said he has to affirm me. So, let's see. He had to miss lunch to do it, too, and I didn't feel the slightest bit bad about it, because I needed those 7 vaginas like yesterday. Let's see. Safrico says, is he that way Richie could go fuck himself? Well, that's the whole point. I could do it 7 times. And I don't have that kind of energy anymore. I tell you that. All right. So anyway, the show's gotten pretty weird. And maybe it's time we just got on with the news, perhaps. What are we, almost half an hour in already? Hold on a second. Gotta have some ranch juice. If we're gonna do this proper like. All right. So did somebody mention something? Did somebody mention something about Hollywood dingbats? Because I got this. Here's a couple. Here's Billie Eilish and her brother. And listen, I don't have any evidence to back this up. I haven't seen anything that would suggest this. It's purely speculation. Okay? I'm not saying any of this is true. All I'm saying is that they look like a brother and sister that might have sex with each other. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying they are. I'm not saying I've ever heard anybody say that they are. I'm just saying when you look at them and you see them interacting with each other, they might be having sex with each other. An incestuous relationship is what I'm saying. But they're definitely not. But anyway, they are dingbats. Let's take a look.
No one is illegal on stolen land. And yeah, it's just really hard to know what to say and what to do right now. And I feel.
How about nothing? Say and do nothing. That's best for everybody.
I feel really hopeful in this room, and I feel like we just need to keep fighting and speaking up and protesting, and our voices really do matter, and the people matter. And I say sorry. Thank you. No one is.
Yeah, she said F ice, I believe there. So anyway, how brave. How brave. But anyway, let's see. Well, what's this? What's this? Cheeky law firm offers to help Native American tribe evict Billie Eilish from their land after smug Grammys rant. So, a brash California law firm has offered to help evict Billie Eilish on behalf of the Native American tribe that owns the land under the singer's multi-million-dollar Los Angeles mansion after the pop star's self-righteous rant at the Grammys backfired. Well, she said they own the land. She says it's stolen land. Is hers the only not stolen land? It must be hers as well. It shows you that they don't think about any of this. This is all just fashion to them, right? She knows the response she's going to get. That is the safest thing she can possibly say at the Grammys in front of all of those pod people. The Los Angeles-based Sinai law firm, touting itself as the premier eviction firm in the country, quipped that it would represent Tongva tribe pro bono. Quipped that it would represent the Tongva tribe pro bono following the 24-year-old's claim that, quote, no one is illegal on stolen land during her acceptance speech Sunday. So she said it. She said that her land, I mean, it's got to include her land, is stolen land. Now, I don't think that this will override actual property law. So I think that Billie Eilish is quite safe from her own stupidity on this one. But it shows you that these people, they're not thinking about any of this, right? I mean, the whole idea is absurd in the first place. Like the idea of legally owning land, private ownership, this is a colonial thing in the first place, right? There was no before colonization, right? The land was just something that if you could hold it, you kept it. If you couldn't, it was somebody else's now. That's it. The whole thing is totally incoherent, right? And another point I don't hear a lot of people making is that it's not just the land, it's the nation, it's the civilization, it's the technology, it's the infrastructure, right? None of that's stolen. That was built by people, not stolen. The electricity grid was not stolen from anybody. That was built. The internet, not stolen. Modern medicine, hospitals, not stolen from anybody. Okay? The entire argument is incoherent and idiotic, but it's just something that she knows will get a round of applause. Now, if you're a Billie Eilish, you're surrounded by yes people. You've got a bunch of people who want to feed off of your fame and your wealth. And they're just going to tell you that you're wonderful and intelligent. You have to understand she's up there. She thinks she's a genius, right? She thinks she's brilliant. Okay, all these people do. Because they're surrounded by people who tell them so. Billie Eilish won the lottery. There's 10 million Billie Eilishes just in the United States, I'm sure. She got lucky. Her and her brother, who she's definitely not in an incestuous relationship with, just got lucky. That's the way it is. And I think also they had connections through their parents. So maybe it's more than just luck, actually. Maybe there's some nepotism there as well. But what else do we have on this? Let's see. Well, what's this here? Planet of Memes posted this. Patiently waiting for Billie Eilish to give back the land under her, her home. Patiently waiting for Billie Eilish to give back the land her home is sitting on. Well, look at that. It's so sad. So sad. Give back that land, Billie Eilish. He wants it so bad. Why did you steal your land from him? What's this? SKS cartoon. I usually don't draw about celebrities, but this Billie Eilish chick just became her own joke. Well, let's see. What does this say? You can't enforce borders on stolen land. From her castle. From her castle. Yeah. She didn't think it through, obviously. Why would she? Why would she think it through? Nothing matters to these people. The only thing that matters is being fashionable. That's it. Sweet effing karma just dropped a thermonuclear warhead on Billie Eilish's bloated, pastel-drenched empire of hypocrisy. This smug little Nepo Goblin, who wrote this? Gray 4626, LH Gray, swaddled in her oversized designer rags, whispering her prepackaged rebel lines to arenas full of drooling stands, finally gets hoisted by her own petard. So, hold on. Yeah, so now I doubt the lawsuit will actually win because there's still like property law, right? I mean, is that legally binding? Right? That she said, well, everything's stolen land, so therefore I don't own my land. I don't think that'll work, but maybe. I hope so. I hope she loses her land. Let's see. Hold on. I wanted to show you one more thing before we leave this idiocy. Just look at the pod people in the audience here. Look at her. Look at that. That's not a human, right? That's a pod person. That's not a real person. That person is made out of like, I don't know, like fiberglass, like inorganic materials. Look at just from the eyes, right? This person has the brain of a cat, probably. Probably a cat would get a better IQ score than this person. Look at these, just pod people. Just pod people. All their applause means nothing, right? Their boos mean nothing because we've seen what they applaud for, like this, and much, much worse.
And hard to really like been protest our people matter. All right.
So brave, so brave, so brave. So, yeah, there you go. I guess that's our dingbat of the week. What are you guys saying? Let's see. Let's see. Chef Rico says Billy is from the white Somali clan. Why? I was not aware of that. I was not aware. Izzy says California is full of commie dingbats. Absolutely. Izzy says stunning and brave. Absolutely. So stunning. I mean, the thing is, all of these brave statements they make are literally the safest thing they can say in those environments. It's the safest thing. It just accuse the United States of being racist. All the clapping seals, all the pod people, clapping away, right? Say something about ICE, right? Clapping away, clapping away. None of these people have thought about it for 3 seconds, but they know which way the wind is blowing in their bubble, in their own bubble. They know what they have to say to each other to get the applause. And what the media will like, of course. But that is their bubble. Let's see. Let's see. Rosie says the only stolen land is under rivers and dams, inside national parks, and behind fences of national labs, military bases, eminent domain. The rest was bought or conquered. It's a good point. Let's see. Izzy says, I always wanted to have a place to stay in California. Is there a sign-up sheet for tent space? I think you just set up your tent anywhere, as long as it's not near the governor's mansion. Let's see. Rosie says, okay, these celebrities, especially musicians, have an entire brand. Employees, equipment, vehicles, and attorneys. Why do their attorneys let them speak? Because they can't control them. And again, it's perfectly safe. Normally, it's perfectly safe for them in their own little bubble there. As he says, body snatched replacements. I don't doubt it. Chef Rico says, yeah, she's boning her brother. I'm not saying that. I don't believe that. I'm just saying that looks like she might be boning her brother. But I'm not saying she actually is. I'm just saying, if you found out that they got married, would you be, or they wouldn't get married. They'd be in like a polyamorous thing, right? With, I don't know, like Somalians or something. I don't know. Let's see. Izzy says, I'm surprised anyone still watches these shows. Well, they don't, actually. They're just, well, what I think I saw the ratings. I think like 12 million people actually did watch, but it's down. It's coming down and down. It used to be tens of millions of people watch this stuff. It's increasingly becoming more and more just for them. So they can still feel wonderful and fantastic. And, Billie Eilish, what's the best buy date on Billie Eilish? She got a few more years. Maybe another 30 pounds and it's over. I don't know. Chef Rico says, I didn't realize this was Hogwarts class reunion. It's kind of weird. They're weirdos. That's what I say. Let's get rid of a couple of these tabs. We don't need them anymore. What's going on here? So I know you guys like Tom Homan. So now some of these lefties don't seem to have clued into the fact that their leadership, the leadership around this resistance to ICE, actually wants them to get injured or die because it's great publicity for them. It's great propaganda. It's like Hamas. Maybe they learned that from Hamas, right? That's why Tim Walz never told anybody, any Minnesotans, don't like, hey, if you've got like a handgun on you, don't like interfere with ICE because that's super dangerous, right? Because they're going to respond. They have to respond in a certain way if there's a gun involved, right? Like, don't drive your car into ICE officers. There's a reason Tim Walz or any of the political leaders, leftist Democrat political leaders, there's a reason why they didn't say that. Because they want what happened to Renee Good and that other guy, Preti. They wanted that to happen. This is politically good for them, right? The media will just immediately buy the narrative and push the propaganda. So they like it. And now you've got people taking children to protest ICE. Do these people understand what the people organizing these things, what they want? Because that's totally insane. Taking your children to protest ICE is lunacy. That's just total madness, right? You do not put, seeing how violent these things have gotten, only somebody who actually doesn't care about their child, or maybe, Munchausen by proxy or something, would take their child to protest ICE. It's insanity. Here's Tom Homan talking about that. Let's take a look.
Why don't you show the funeral of Rachel Morin? Why don't you listen to the 19 minutes of Laken Riley fighting for her life? Not that she was, murdered, that for 19 minutes she fought for every breath, fought to survive. How terrified these young women were to be raped and murdered. How about that? How about we educate these children on President Trump making this country safe again? How about we educate the children on the last administration? 500,000 children were smuggled in this country. They lost track of 300,000 of them, and President Trump found 145,000 of them. 145,000 children that the last administration wasn't even looking for. Why don't we talk about the 250,000 Americans died from fentanyl across that open border? Why don't we talk about the record number of known suspected terrorists across that border, or the historic increase in sex trafficking in women and children? Let's talk about that. President Trump's saving lives every day. The border is the most secure we have in the history of this nation. Less women are being raped. Less people are dying making that journey, and this country's safe again. Let's tell that story.
Yeah. Yeah. Stop taking your children to protest them, ICE, deporting people who are a danger to your children. How about that? Because 2/3 of the people they're at, now it's all changed now in Minnesota, right? It's all, so there's a whole thing. We'll get into that. But 2/3 of the people ICE are going after are criminals, like people who are convicted of like drunk driving or, violent crimes, rape, murder, this sort of thing. So you're taking your children to protest the deportation of people who, given an opportunity, will hurt your children. Totally insane. Aside from the fact, it's obviously not safe to take your children there. Obviously. It's just total madness. Anyway, I like Tom Homan because he just takes no prisoners. I mean, no pun intended. He actually, but I like Tim Walz because I like Tim Homan. I like Tim Homan, not Tim Walz. I like Tim Homan because he just lays it out and he does not care who's offended. And that is what Western civilization needs. It needs less people who are worried about being called names, who are tough enough to take being called names by lunatics. Let's see. Well, how about this? This is one that you guys sent in. Reverend Jordan Wells, Florida teacher here. A student just asked me point blank how I feel about anti-ICE protests and transgender rights. Well, let's take a look. So what is this guy saying? So he'll never get on CNN or MSNBC, and the New York Times will never interview this guy. But let's take a look.
Student asked me about what I thought about ICE and something about transgender today. And you know what I told him? I told him none of their business, because I'm a real teacher. When I was teaching a class today, that's how the teachers used to teach when I was growing up. I was at a public school and they asked me, what are your opinion on it? I said, I don't have an opinion. I said, that's not my job. My job as a teacher is to educate you in math, science, reading, and writing. My job. And then they said, well, some of our other teachers, that's all they be talking about. And I said, well, they're bad teachers. I told them right to their face. I said, they're bad teachers because our job as educators is not to indoctrinate and teach you to be an activist. Our job is not to tell you our personal opinion on trans rights or gay rights. Our job is not, that's the job of your parents. That's not the job. I told this to high school students. My job is not to tell you what I believe about X, Y, and Z. My job that's indoctrination. And that's a message to all you teachers that feel like it is your job to instill morality. And that's what's on the left, the Democrats. They want to instill morality into your kids. They are Marxists. They are communists. They are the real ones that are communists and Marxists and fascists and all that. They want to teach your kids. But when Trump announced that he want to put prayer back in school, they all get upset, right? But they want to take your kids out of class and have them protest ICE. But they don't. But when a Christian tries to get prayer in school, they lose their mind. When a Christian tries to get religious stuff in school, they lose their mind. When Oklahoma tried to do some religious curriculum, they lost their mind. But they want to be able to teach our kids to protest. It is out of control and it's insane.
Well, yeah, they want to replace Christianity. Well, they want to replace everything with just totalitarian communism, right? So this guy's a good teacher. But the problem is that the institutions training teachers now are training them to be activists. So that's now the curriculum. Like, part of the curriculum is now training them to be activists. This is critical pedagogy. In fact, you know what? Let's hold on one second. Let me see if I can't just quickly drum something up here, because I've done videos on this in the past, actually. The critical pedagogy, and let's see. Let's see. Hold on. Give me a second. I won't if I can't find something really quick, because, Google, right? Let's see. Here we go. Here's something. All right, let's take a look. And it's called critical pedagogy. And this has taken over education in the West. And essentially what it is, it's Marxist propaganda that its goal is not to teach children how to read and write and do math, do the four R's, right? It's to create revolutionaries. Literally, explicitly, it's to do that. Marxist revolutionaries. Want wokeness out of schools, end woke teacher training. University programs prioritize social justice activism over educational fundamentals. Now, what have we said about the woke mind virus? Well, a wise man once said,
everything woke turns to shit.
But anything that's infected with the woke mind virus ceases to be any institution infected with the woke mind virus ceases to be what it was originally for. It just simply becomes about propagating the woke mind virus to more, weak minds. Not everybody's vulnerable to it, but a lot of people are, obviously. And that's whatever the institution was about before, including creating new teachers, right? It now becomes about just spreading the woke mind virus. This is what we're seeing. Let's see. For much of 2025, it looked like the right was winning its war on woke. And during that time, I was saying, hey, they've still infected the institutions. They're still there. They're not done yet. President Donald Trump came into office on a tidal wave of enthusiasm, and he launched a flurry of executive orders aimed at ending diversity, equity, and inclusion and gender theory in schools. But in early November, woke candidates came roaring back in elections in New York, Virginia, and New Jersey. Woke is not dead. It is very much alive in educational institutions, public employee unions, and other progressive enclaves. In fact, new data from Politics at Work, a combined data initiative of the University of Maryland and the University of Michigan, shows that the education sector is the single most left-leaning segment of employees in America. Democrats outnumber Republicans 2-1 in K through 12 classrooms. This didn't happen by accident. This is the institutions training teachers, at training them to be activists. Now, it doesn't work on all of them, but obviously it's having an effect. 2-1. This would not be a problem if teacher activists kept their politics separate from their work, but one need look no further than the proliferation of boys and girls sports, Black Lives Matter and pride flags on school walls, and DEI practices to see that too many schools have become incredibly politicized places. Why is the teaching profession so overwhelmingly left-wing, and why do so many of its members force their politics on kids? The answer is found on college and university campuses across the country, where teacher training programs indoctrinate their students in progressive ideology. Let's see if they've got some examples here. For instance, the University of Georgia requires its elementary education majors, to take exploring socio-cultural perspectives on diversity. This is for elementary schools. They're getting them very young. The course's first objective is to imbue students with an understanding of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and social justice in schooling. So, bullshit. Marxist bullshit. A syllabus shows this course trains teachers to be foot soldiers of the progressive movement. Quote, "We are attempting to make a difference at the level of practice." This doesn't mean merely explaining discrimination and oppression, whether it's real or not. Microaggressions, anyone? It also supports developing anti-racist, anti-sexist, anti-homophobic, anti-classist, anti-xenophobic, and social justice advocacy. What about, like, spelling? How about that? How about addition? You got to make sure that they understand that 2 + 2 doesn't equal 5? I don't think that they are. And outcomes, by the way, have gone off a cliff for students, by the way, since they've started implementing all of this. It says here, we're attempting to make a difference at the level of practice. They call it praxis. Praxis. So it's taking the ideology and using it in practice as part of the indoctrination process. So let's go back. Where were we on that? Hold on. Yeah, so back to this teacher again. So this is why he's seeing what he's seeing. It's intentional. It's a Marxist machine, a Marxist propaganda machine, just pumping them out, just pumping out a new generation of Red Guard every year. You can only do that for so long, for so many decades, before you've got a major problem. And this is the major threat to the West, Western civilization. I would say it's the major threat to human well-being right now, and it's very dangerous. And it's putting Western civilization, the well-being of people, on a razor's edge. People don't understand. The vast majority of people are totally historically illiterate. And they don't understand that we're not at the end of history. Things can get bad. Things can fall apart, right? Marxist policies can lead to famine. They will lead to famine. They will lead to you watching people starve, including your friends and your family and the people that you love. And it's being done just on an industrial scale. All right. Maybe we'll go back to the chat. Let's see. Go back to the chat. Let's see. What do we got? Class reunion. JDL says, "Hey, JDL, how you doing?" They take children to LGBT parades too. I mean, that's one and the parents are all smiling. They're all proud. They're making sure they're getting pictures of their kids next to the guy the old man with his junk hanging out. Weird, right? Weird. Let's see. Chef Rigo says these aren't protests, they're riots. And the thing is, they're not just random, though. It's all organized. It's a sophisticated operation, it turns out. Radio streamer, how you doing? Says, hello, my fellow degenerate basket of deplorables, orange Hitler following, Greenland invading Balonians. Greenland. Everybody wants Greenland. Let's see. Spambot says, Finney, Billy's brother, is her music producer and music boner, I think, as well. That was pretty lowbrow. That's bad even for me. Bad even for me. There's no way they're in an incestuous relationship, right? Right? Okay. Now what are we doing? We're taking way too long again. We're already an hour in. We're taking way too long to get through all these again. Let's see. All right, so we can move on from this one. Let's move on. What do we got here? The purge has begun. So let's take a look at this. Jim Ferguson posted this. Breaking the purge has begun. Donald Trump has just finalized a rule that blows apart the deep state's job protection racket. He's talking about, this is the deep state, right? So this is the deep state. This is the swamp. These are the unaccountable bureaucrats, right, who can try and stand in Trump's way without penalty so far, right? These are the swamp creatures who, the activists, the people who think they're bigger than the state, they think they're bigger than the voters. Up to 50,000 federal bureaucrats are now on the chopping block. Well, let's take a look. So let's go to CNN because I'm sure they'll give us a nice biased. Yeah, I'm sure CNN will give us a really objective view of it here, but let's take a look. So Trump administration plans to reclassify 50,000 federal workers, making them easier to fire. I've never understood this, why the president, the commander-in-chief, wouldn't be able to just fire people who are obstructing him or doing a bad job or who are lazy. Like, there's all kinds of reasons to fire people. It doesn't make any sense. In its latest effort to weaken the federal workforce, well, really, is this an op-ed? Is this an opinion piece? Doesn't say opinion anywhere. So most people would just read this as if it's just straight up news and everything is true. But this is just opinion, right? In its latest effort to weaken the federal workforce. That's just her opinion, right? Another opinion could be that in his latest effort to strengthen the federal workforce by getting rid of people that are useless, that are bad at their jobs or obstructing the will of the people. The Trump administration issued a rule on Thursday that would shift an estimated 50,000 senior career staffers into a new category that would make them easier to fire. Again, why wouldn't you just be able to fire them anyway if they're doing a bad job or obstructing? I mean, literally obstructing the will of the people. You had an election. The controversial rule allows agencies to reclassify federal employees involved in policy into at-will positions that don't provide the same job protections that other career workers have. It will affect an estimated 2% of the federal workforce. So it's 2% of the federal workforce. Okay. Agency supervisors report great difficulty removing employees. So hold on a second. Who's saying this? The Trump administration made it clear in the rule why it created the new category called schedule policy / career. Quote, agency supervisors report great difficulty removing employees for poor performance or misconduct, it said. The new category, quote, will allow agencies to quickly remove employees from critical positions who engage in misconduct, perform poorly, or obstruct the democratic process by intentionally subverting presidential directives. And you should be able to fire people for that. Again, they're putting themselves above the constitutional republic itself. They're putting themselves above the people, the voters. You should be fired for that. How does it make any sense that you would be protected when you're for poor performance or misconduct? It makes literally no sense. Unless you want a bunch of corruption, right? So now this will also be, hold on, I think we've got some more here. Hold on. AFGE and several other unions are represented by Democracy Forward in a lawsuit challenging schedule policy / career. Well, what's new? Everything. I mean, if Trump orders a hamburger from the White House chef, they lodge a lawsuit, right? No, he can't have it. White supremacy or something, right? So what's new? Let's see what else we got here. So what's this? I don't know if I don't think that we definitely didn't get this one in the last stream. Okay. I've got some stuff that's a few days old here, which we would have gotten to earlier if I'd been able to stream. Betty Johnson posted this. So Trump to CNN's Caitlin Collins, who just has that resting witch face all the time, doesn't she? It's almost actually a bit like resting tranny face, but she's not, she is a woman, but you know what I mean. Let's see. I don't think I've ever seen you smile, he says. Well, let's take a look. This is going to be good.
What do you say?
What would you say to the survivors who feel like they haven't gotten justice?
You are the worst reporter. No wonder CNN has no ratings because of people like you. You know, she's a young woman. I don't think I've ever seen you smile. I've known you for 10 years. I don't think I've ever seen a smile on your face.
I'm asking you about survivors.
You know why? You know why you're not smiling? Because you know you're not telling the truth. And you're a very dishonest organization, and they should be ashamed of you.
These are survivors.
What do you say? Go ahead.
What would you?
I don't know if he should do this or not do this, but I'm going to miss it when it's gone. I'll tell you that much. I'm going to miss it when it's gone because the Caitlin Collinses of the media world are awful. They are propagandists. They are a disservice to their profession and a disservice to the people. They're a disservice to human well-being, I will say. So again, should he do this or not? I don't know. I just know I'm going to miss it when it's not happening anymore. Let's see. All right. So we did all of that. Okay. So let's get rid of these tabs as well. We don't need these ones anymore. Boom. Boom. There we go. Let's go back to the chat for a second. Why not? Let's go back to the chat. Hey, by the way, anybody watching on YouTube, subscribe to the second channel, Radio Baloney News. It's about 5 months old now. Please go there and subscribe. All of the world news and the U.S. news and stuff. That will only be on Radio Baloney News. Now, look at this. I mean, we got a meme review there. Victor Davis Hanson. You got Constant Kiss in there. Got another meme review. You got Trump there. Trump's slamming the green scam at the WEF. If you want that stuff, all of this beautiful, 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 big, beautiful videos, you got to go to Radio Baloney News now. So subscribe because the algorithm hates me and it hates you and it fears how powerful we may become together. So go and subscribe to that channel there. Get all the wonderful stuff and help me get the channel monetized because that's good. Not that I'll ever make anything like more than 13 cents a month on YouTube, but still. Let's see. What are you guys saying? Looks like the chat slowed down a little bit. Spambot asks, are you aiming to get a strike or a lawsuit from YouTube by saying that some people might be saying that Billie Eilish and her brother look like they might be in an incestuous relationship together? I'm not saying that. And it looks like YouTube's still running. So I don't know. I'm definitely not trying to do that. Let's see. JDL says Glenn Greenwald's last show on Rumble was tonight. So why did that happen? Why is he off Rumble? What happened there? Because he's not going to get canceled on Rumble. I don't think YouTube likes him. Chef Rico says, I like Glenn's information. I trust his judgment, but it's like watching toast. I actually haven't watched anything from him in ages. I used to watch some of it, but I haven't watched it in ages. Let's see. I did not know that. Maybe they stopped, because they were for like those kind of prestige creators. They were paying them, I think, pretty well. So maybe they stopped some of that. I don't know, but I don't know. Somebody asked me for a coffee ad earlier, and I got a bit of a hankering for a coffee ad. Let's do it. All right, everybody, you ready? Here it comes. Still haven't tried 1775 coffee? Now's your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped. Only 1,000 units, folks. That's exclusive. You're getting the bold dark roast that hits hard, the smooth medium roast, and the vitality mushroom coffee for clean energy and laser focus. No crash, no communism. At least not on Radio Baloney. All single origin, small batch, toxin free. That's the best kind without the toxins, don't you know? And mold free. Yeah, we don't like that either. Plus, you're also getting, guess what? A gold spoon clip, because freedom isn't scooped with plastic unless you're some kind of idiot. A frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's opinions. She's probably some kind of old commie hag. And a black 1775 tumbler. That's $170 worth of coffee and gear. Yours for only $99, folks. That's under $100. This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble, wondering if it's actually worth it. Well, guess what, folks? Spoiler alert, it sure is. Go to 1775coffee.com. That's 1775coffee.com. That's 1775coffee.com. That's 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something. Maybe it's anti-communism. It is on Radio Baloney, definitely, just like Rumble does. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Powerful coffee ad. Powerful coffee ad. It's so good, it's like I wrote it myself. Listen, Radio Streamer gave me a 9.3 out of 10. Acceptable levels of commie hate. Also, more commie hate. Well, 9.3 out of 10, I believe, I'm not a mathematician or a biologist. I believe that is the most you can get out of 10, so thank you very much. All right. What else you guys saying? Izzy says, coffee ad, just what I needed. Toxin and mold free and commie hate. 1776 out of 10. I believe that is the most you can get out of 10. Thank you, sir. Chef Rico says 1775 out of 1,774 stars. That's a new one. I believe that's the most you can get out of 1,774 stars. Thank you, sir. Rosie says, exclusive coffee, focused, anti-commie, growls, gold, freedom. 251 out of 10 for the ad read. Happy birthday, +1 USA, which is the most you can get out of USA. All right. Well, that was fun. I guess we'll move on. So, what's this here? Pericles the Great. J.D. Vance will lead the California Fraud Task Force. Does Newsom get indicted for A, cover-up of California fraud, B, getting political payoffs by fraudsters, C, gross incompetence for allowing it to happen, D, all the above, E, other? Let's see. Indicted? Newsom? Well, I think we know how these things go, and probably none of that. But there's J.D. Vance blowing up the Hollywood Hills and the Hollywood sign. Which I think is pretty good. And this is exactly what the internet is for. Let's take a look, though. So, new Trump anti-fraud task force to target California, CBS reports. This is from Reuters. So what's going on here? U.S. President Donald Trump is creating a new anti-fraud task force for California, led by U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance. CBS News reported on Wednesday, citing multiple unnamed sources familiar with the plans. Trump plans to sign a related executive order in coming days that will name Vance as head of the task force, which would also include the Federal Trade Commission as vice chairman, according to CBS. So I expect he's going to find quite a lot. So a lot of dead people getting government benefits. I would really like them. It would be really interesting for them to dig into the election fraud there. I mean, this is a state where Gavin Newsom made it illegal to ask for voter ID. There is only one reason for that: fraud. To commit fraud, to make it as easy and untraceable as possible. The only reason. That's what I think a lot of Americans would be very interested in them investigating that specifically. But of course, there's tons of other. I mean, they're luring in people illegally and giving them incentives to stay for political reasons. So there's going to be massive amounts. I mean, it's going to make Minnesota look like nothing, right? I mean, what is it going to be, $1 trillion worth of fraud every year? You know that it's going to be a lot. So it's something to keep an eye on. And the left will freak out, of course, and Trump hates poor people or something because he doesn't want fraud. So that's always the way it goes. Have we got something else here from JD Vance? So from The Blaze, they posted this. Reporter asked, do you plan to apologize to the family of Alex Pretty? Vance asks, for what? Yeah, for what exactly? For what? Well, what do you expect? Let's just take a look.
Did you plan to apologize to the family of Alex Pretty?
For what?
For, labeling him an assassin with ill intent.
Well, again, I just described to you what I said about Alex Pretty, which is that he's a guy who showed up with ill intent to an ICE protest.
No, but if it's determined that his civil rights were violated by this FBI investigation, will you apologize to that?
So if this hypothetical leads to that hypothetical leads to another hypothetical,
it's a real case.
Will I do a thing? And again, like I said, we're going to let the investigation.
Did you plan to apologize to the family of Alex Pretty?
Did you see the guy? See the video of him spitting on the ICE officer, kicking the tail out? He's part of a pretty sophisticated organization. He was on shift, right? He was there to, we have the video of him saying, assault me, assault me, assault me. His purpose was to get assaulted so they could clip the beginning of it. Everything he did before was spitting, kicking the car, kicking off the taillight, and then only show the part afterwards, right? So they could say police brutality. Okay. That's what he was trying to do. That's why he interfered with the ICE agents the day that he got shot. He was there to do that. They're encouraged to do that by their own leadership. Their leadership wants something to happen to them, right? And if you got somebody who maybe wants to, suicide by cop, well, it's perfect, isn't it? It's just amazing. The media just never gives up. They're just shameless. Totally shameless. He's just an innocent guy. That's why we changed his photo to try and make him more attractive to, I don't know, suburban liberal wine mums, I guess. Let's see. All right. So this one we've already done. Let's get rid of these tabs. What do we got next? Let's see. All right. All right, so let's do some Epstein stuff here. So there are millions of documents that have been released, and I can't go through all of them. It would just be my whole life going through all these documents, right? There's all kinds of stuff in there. I don't know what is real, what isn't. But it's like everybody in existence is in these files somewhere. Anybody, any name you've ever heard of is in these files because Epstein or his company had some financial dealings with them, or they were Epstein was intentionally trying to network constantly to meet as many people as possible for, it seems to me, malign reasons. But he would have science, for instance, he would have science conferences. He would fund science conferences, right? With scientists like Stephen Hawking and stuff. I don't think Stephen Hawking was in part of any orgies, because for one thing, he would die in seconds, right? I'm not saying he didn't like watching naked midgets I'm not saying he didn't like watching naked midgets throw butterscotch pudding at each other. I'm not saying that. I'm sure he did. But he wasn't in any orgy, Stephen Hawking. So he wasn't inviting a bunch of scientists, leading scientists, to a conference and then just saying, hey, everybody, by the way, it's also an orgy with underage girls. That wasn't happening, right? So just him having a phone number or something, like Carney's in it in these files 69 times, right? But it's not, Carney was not involved in anything. He's a financial guy. It makes sense that Epstein would have had some sort of connection there. So some of it looks really bad, but every single person in these files cannot have been involved, right? It's just like, it would be millions of people. Chuck E. Cheese CEO steps down days after name appeared in Epstein files. David McPhillips, formerly of Six Flags Amusement Parks and recently Chuck E. Cheese, just happened to resign last night amid his name popping up in the Epstein files. No allegations, but why quit? Because maybe the board just said, yeah, I don't know, we can't have any connection to this whatsoever. But look at all this. These are just a bunch of... So what is this? So these are just a bunch of people involved with different companies. That's not really surprising. So what is speakers, program, insights, media hub. So conference, something in Saudi Arabia. Like, it doesn't, like, anything that Epstein didn't set up himself, but went to, would have been in all of this stuff, right? So this is the thing. Like, I think we need to stay away from this. Just that, like, any name that's in there automatically. No, I think it was a very small group of people, like Bill Clinton, who did go to the island. I think it was a very select group of powerful people that were worth blackmailing. I think that's what it comes down to. I think it would have been a very small, like, it appears that Epstein had his picture taken next to pretty much everybody that anybody had ever heard of in New York over the decades, right? You can't just say all those people were involved in this thing. Let's see. C.A. Mateus. Here's Thursday Night Rabbit Hole for me. Epstein was killed August 10th, 2019. The Epstein files show his YouTube account username, Littlest Jeff 1. The files also show he used the same username on the video game Fortnite. He was an avid player, showing frequent in-game purchases. Anyway, they're saying that he signed into this account after he died in 2019, that he signed in 2023, 2024. So that looks bad, right? That looks bad. So he's alive, but not really, though. Like, here, Fortnite. Fortnite official debunks Jeffrey Epstein, Littlest Jeff 1 mystery. Now, I love conspiracy theories, and they're fun, and we talk about them on here all the time. But, I mean, they're not always true is the thing. Fortnite's official channel responded directly to these rumors. The game support account explained the situation is not evidence of anything unusual. Players can change their usernames on Epic Games, and third-party sites like Fortnite trackers only show the current display name, not the history of past names. So I don't find it at all surprising that people, at least a few people would change their username to that just as a joke, right? This means any account that now has the name Littlest Jeff 1 could be unrelated to the name shown in other documents. Fortnite's team also noted there is no match in their system for the specific email addresses referenced in the public files. Epic Games allows players to change their display name regularly, and only the latest name is visible publicly. Third-party tracker sites rely on public data and do not show internal Epic Games account history. A matching username does not confirm the identity of the person behind the account. A username alone is not unique proof, especially when anyone can adopt it and when tracker sites only display the current name chosen by the account holder. So, we're going to keep seeing stuff like this. And again, the problem is that it's like millions of files. And I'm not going to devote my life to just going through this stuff now, right? And there's stuff that looks really bad, like the Bill Microsoft guy, Bill Gates, one that letter where Epstein is talking about giving him like antibiotics to secretly give to Bill Gates' wife, Melinda Gates, because he's got a venereal disease that he got from Russian hookers. Even still, that was something that Epstein sent to himself. So even that is kind of suspect, right? So it's just a giant rabbit hole. Everybody else is going to be covering this forever now. So I think I'll probably really let other people really do it, because there's other stuff I want to cover and I don't want to go through millions of documents. But listen to this, though. This is on the Bill Gates. So here's Melinda Gates is responding. Elon Musk said, wow, well, he hates Bill Gates. So he would be absolutely enjoying this. Let's take a look.
The emails in the files suggest that Bill Gates had additional affairs and that he tried to get medication to treat a sexually transmitted infection, and that he was going to give you the medicine without you knowing. His representative has said all of this is false. It is not on you to have to respond to the details of that alleged behavior, but I wonder what your dominant emotion is when you read these news articles with these details.
Sad. Just unbelievable sadness. Unbelievable sadness, right? And again, I'm able to take my own sadness and look at those young girls and say, my God, how did that happen to those girls, right? And so for me, it's just sadness for, I left my marriage. I had to leave my marriage. I wanted to leave my marriage. I had to leave I felt I needed to eventually leave the foundation. So it's just sad. That's the truth, right? And it's kind of like, at least for me, I've been able to move on in life.
So she doesn't dispute any of it, right? She doesn't dispute any of it. So that says something, right? Now, I still think it is possible. I'm just trying to be as fair and rational about this as I can. I don't like Bill Gates, right? I don't think Bill Gates should decide what happens to the world. Okay. But it is kind of weird that Epstein is sending that to himself. Was there any evidence that ever actually got sent to Bill Gates, that email, right? It's an email he's sending to himself. I don't know, but it's maybe something you could, I'm trying to just be as fair as possible here. Epstein was obviously a very, very bad person, but very conniving person, a very devious person. Is that something somebody might do to kind of make it look like they had something they could hold over somebody else? Possibly. But, here's Melinda Gates. She's not disputing any of it. She's not saying, I don't think that's true. So, again, she's his ex-wife too. So, woman scorned, but I don't know. It doesn't look good, does it? It definitely doesn't look good. Let's see. Let's see. Trump is innocent, says Trump supporter Marian Richardson, who scanned through the Epstein files. She says, although Trump is mentioned over 5,000 times, Obama is mentioned 2,500 times, Clinton 3,900 times, and Bill Gates 6,300 times, nothing damning about Trump yet. She says, well, I haven't seen anything that could be confirmed as real. And, Carney is mentioned 69 times, mind you, in the files. There's no evidence that he was it's just all financial stuff. You've got somebody who's moving through powerful circles. It doesn't really mean anything, right? Just again, Obama 2,500 times. Now, Clinton 3,900 times. Now, we do think there's something there. And Bill Gates 6,300 times. There is something there. But the reason I say there's something there is because there's actually something there, right? With Obama and Trump, there's not anything there so far, right? So I don't know. Let's see this.
Okay, they finally released the Epstein files. Let's get into it. So in the 3 million documents that were released, Donald Trump is mentioned over 5,000 times. And I know liberals, you're like, oh my God. However, I need you to know that Obama was mentioned 2,500 times. Your boy Clinton was mentioned 3,900 times, and Bill Gates is mentioned 6,300 times. The way that the system works is you can type in someone's name and it will show you any document with that person's name. So the DOJ did warn, just because someone is mentioned does not mean they are accused. And I will say, after pouring through hundreds of these documents so far, that is definitely the case. A lot of the mentions about Trump, the vast majority, are things about his real estate dealings or just an email sent from one person to the next about Trump's campaign, or just fluff, honestly. Now, one document I do want to discuss is the NTOC call log. This was the FBI's tip line where people were calling and leaving anonymous accusations against Trump. Now, they're saying all types of stuff in here, but when you look closer, for the vast majority of them, when the FBI reached back out to try and get more information, the person never responded. They either left a bad phone number, they said that they were going to send an email with more information, they never did. Even one person, the FBI said they were deemed not credible because that person had 3 separate reports of the law enforcement needing to call and have them mentally evaluated. So again, I'm going to keep looking through all of this, because if Trump is guilty of something, I want to know, right? As a Trump supporter and as a mother to a young girl, I care about this. I do want to know. But I will also be looking into why Gates is mentioned 6,000 times. Obama is mentioned 2,000 times. Clinton is mentioned almost 4,000 times. You guys should care about whoever's on this list, not just Donald Trump. And I have to say this one.
And look, if there was anything in there that actually implicated Trump in anything, do you think that it wouldn't have come out? Think it wouldn't have come out in his first term? Think deep state actors wouldn't have brought it out in his first term, right? Do you think during Biden's term it would have come out? Of course it would have. Of course it would have. They would have just kept that and burnt the rest of it, right? So, yeah, in the Epstein emails, Department of Justice dropped, Jeffrey sent himself emails memorializing a fight he had with Bill Gates. So this is just stuff he sent to himself. Again, it's suspect. I mean, it does seem like with Gates and with Clinton, there's definitely a there. But just being named in the file, all of these documents, emails, that doesn't mean anything. I mean, it wasn't millions of people, right, that were involved. It would have been a small group of people. Let's see. All right, let's go to the chat. I want to see what you guys are saying. Let's see. Let's see. Chef Rigo says, I thought he would have given that job to Marco Rubio. He's doing everything else. Are you talking about investigating the California fraud? Well, maybe Rubio's just too busy. Let's see. Chevrigo says, can you play the Chris Rock skit, How to Not Get Your Ass Beat by Police? Well, we could do it on the premium stream on Monday. Let's see. I can't do that'll just get copyrighted immediately. They'll probably get the stream taken down on YouTube. So we'll do it on Monday. We'll do it on the premium stream Monday. Rosie says, I guess talking about Hawking here, ALS does not remove male sexual response, just saying. It would have literally killed him, right? A hand job would have killed him in like 5 seconds. Again, I'm not saying that he didn't watch naked midgets throw butterscotch pudding at each other. I'm not saying that. Let's see. Izzy says, nothing but the best people went to the island. Well, I think it was the most important people. The most important people to have dirt on went to the island. Izzy says, my dislike for Gates goes back to his days running Microsoft. Well, apparently a very nasty businessman. Chef Rico says, Bill has always given me the Jared creep vibe. You're talking about the subway guy? Yeah. Rosie says, it would not kill him. Well, I don't know. Look, Epstein was involved in putting on scientific conferences. Okay, not on his island either, right? So not on the Epstein Island. Okay, but I think in islands around that same area. But he was doing that. But he wasn't setting up giant orgies for a bunch of nerdy scientists. Like that didn't happen. Like he didn't just meet people and like 2 seconds later they were in an orgy, right? Like he was involved with tons, and he was, again, it appears that he went out of his way to have his picture taken with as many people, as many famous people as possible, or influential people as possible, or powerful people as possible. Radio Streamer says, sorry to have not been in here much. Been cooking for me and Granny. Late meal tonight. Well, it's always good to see you anyway, Radio Streamer. Also, nothing beats the gay oven for Quiznos. What, the gay oven? I'm not aware of this oven. Let's see. Chef Rico, dirty scientists would have spilled the beans. Yeah, you can. I just don't believe you could have, like, I don't know, over 50, 100, or 200 researchers and scientists, invite them to this island, and, like, you know, in the email, it's like, P.S. Also, it's a totally illegal underage sex trafficking orgy. So, conference, you know, on, I don't know, thermodynamics from 4 until 7, 8 until 10 o'clock, like a degenerate orgy. That just wasn't happening. Let's see. Radio Streamer says, oven in background behind counter. Put it in me, Dave. What the heck is going on at Quiznos? I was not aware of any of this. Was there a Quiznos on Epstein Island? That's what I want to know. An actual ad, Radio Streamer says. Maybe we have to look at it. Maybe we have to find it. All right, hold on. All right, Quiznos ad. Let's go. Quiznos oven ad. Let's see. Oh, I think we found it. Okay, hold on.
Scott.
Hold on. I've never seen this.
Scott, I want you to do something.
Not doing that again. I burned.
We both enjoyed that. Now I want you to introduce my greatest creation, the new Toasty Torpedo.
The new Toasty Torpedo?
Yes, Scott. You make one.
Me?
Put it in me, Scott. It's over a foot of Quiznos flavor on slim, sleek ciabatta for only $4. Say it, Scott.
Only $4?
Say it sexy.
Only $4?
Sexier.
Only $4.
Quiznos.
What the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? What the hell was that?
Not in this lifetime, Sonny.
What was that? That was weird. Really weird. Let's just never talk about that again. Let's just never talk about that ad again. Okay. Let's see. Uh, Rosie says, never mind. I forgot scientists are not human. Let's see. They was not setting up scientific conference / orgies. I do not believe that. There was a Dave one too. I think one is enough. One of those is enough. Please tell me you've seen the Quiznos Dead Gerbils. What is Richard Gere in it? No, I have not seen that. All right. What a degenerate audience I have. Let's see. All right. Let's do some memes, shall we? All right. So what do we got here? Let me make sure this is up to date. Okay. Fight with memes. Billie Eilish is the kind of chick that will squat in your house and say sorry while inviting even more people to squat in your house. Well, all right. Let's take a look. What's this? No one is illegal on stolen land, says Billie Eilish. So you're giving our stolen lands back? Billie Eilish says, no, it means anyone can come here. We don't want more people on our stolen lands. Billie Eilish says, STFU racist. And he says, what? I think the point of this is to show that Billie Eilish is an idiot and hasn't thought any of this through at all. Any of her stolen land stuff at all. And I'm going to bet she probably is not going to give away her multi-million-dollar mansion, which I'm sure she loves a lot. A lot. I'm sure she's not giving that back to anybody. She's keeping that because she earned it, right? I guess that's probably what she'll say. Well, it's different because I earned it. Yeah. Classic Franklin story. Franklin moves into Billie Eilish's house because no one is illegal on stolen land. And man, Franklin sure looks happy there, and he's got her Grammy. She doesn't look happy. Right? She doesn't like people in her house, turtles in her house. Right? So it's not going well. She just was trying to just have a simple virtue signal at the Grammys to make the other pod people clap like seals for her. And this happened. Now she's got to deal with Franklin making a mess. Man, maybe she just should have kept her mouth shut. Let's see. Not calling them conspiracy theories anymore. They will be called spoiler alerts. Well, it seems like this happens an awful lot, doesn't it? An awful lot. Let's see. Let's see. Here comes socialism. That's communism, bitch. That kid's smart. He can tell. That's what they always say. It's just socialism like Denmark or something. No, I'm sorry. That's communism. And they're not communists. They're not socialists in Denmark. Let's see. Anyway, that kid's smart. He knows when he's being fed a load of crap, which is what socialism is. All right, let's move on. Funny but true. Sean Penn looks like all three Stooges put together. He does, doesn't he? He's Moe, Shemp, and Curly all at once. And dumber than all three of them, apparently. I don't know. Poor Sean Penn. He was so good in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. What happened? Let's see. Bill Gates after visiting Epstein Island. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Yeah, he needs some pills. Get that man some pills for himself and also to try and surreptitiously give to his wife. Yikes. Let's see. Here we go. Billie Eilish, stolen Land O'Lakes. Salty butter. Salty. I just, it just makes me sick to see a colonizer like Billie Eilish living in a big mansion on stolen land. That's a stolen mansion, I say. I just say she lives on a stolen mansion. That's what I think, right? These colonizers like Billie Eilish, they make me sick. They make me sick. Give that land back. What's this here? No one is illegal on stolen land. The Tavanga tribe? The Tongva tribe? This Sydney Sweeney meme is going to last. It's eternal now. It's eternal. That look on her face, it's eternal. And she's not happy. You're not going to see Sydney Sweeney talking about stolen land. Absolutely not. Shut up, Billie Eilish. Shut up. Look at the way that Sydney Sweeney's looking at you. Let's shut up. Let's see. There's different levels of political. Let's see. Bro, I won't get that political. I promise. It's the top of the bottle. And then, yeah, this part, straight up Alex Jones.
Emperor Palpatine was a little-known senator from Naboo, small planet. He finances terrorists to attack the planet.
There you go. This used to be me right here. This part of the bottle was Alex Jones. This part was just, let's talk about hockey or something. The very next shot, Alex Jones. InfoWars. Liberals are disgusting people. Well, Man of Memes posted this. So why does he say that? They don't get sympathy. So, yes, on January 6th, she was murdered. To me, it just looks like absolutely murdered by a Capitol police officer. Who was then lionized by the press. A few inches off, Trump's assassination attempt. That's what happens, Charlie Kirk. She was peaceful. Yeah, it's gotten so bad that you can't even drive into federal officers anymore. I mean, can you believe that? That's fascism. Let's see. Little guy cleaned up well. My dog just got a haircut, and now it looks like he gave up drinking and got his life together. Yeah, this one hits hard. I'm so glad that dog finally got his life together. That is the before and after pictures. Though, literally, there's one guy in particular I can remember. I can't remember what it was from, some news thing, but it was basically this. Let's see, what do we got here? Liberals, if we could just jail Trump, get rid of MAGA, end the Electoral College, stack the Supreme Court, ban voter ID, and censor free speech, we can save democracy. They can't even figure out what sex they are. Yet they're going to save democracy. Sure. Let's see. Libtards. We live on stolen land. Borders are just imaginary lines. What? SpongeBob doesn't get it. He's struggling there. Poor SpongeBob. What's happening here? Oh, so this was that classic episode of Seinfeld where, what's going on in there? Jerry asks. And it looks like a nuclear war. The Islamo-communists have conquered the city, Jerry. Yep. So that's New York. That's New York. Yeah, so that's Mom Donnie. The Islamo-communists have conquered the city. Apparently, it's just like immediately falling apart. Now the trash isn't even getting picked up. Like just immediately. Let's see. Why women get L's. Oh, yeah, we already did that one, didn't we? We already did these. All right, so that's it. That's all the meme reviews there. Why did we have this? Hold on a second. Hold on. Let's see. I had, for some reason, before the stream started, I looked up this Gaza's Hitler 2 clothing store featuring knife-wielding terrorist mannequins reportedly destroyed. And I can't remember why I had that. Let's see. All right. Maybe it'll be somewhat in here somewhere. I can't remember. I had that for some reason. What was it? Why did I have that? Let's see. I'm just trying to remember. I purposefully went and found this, the Hitler 2 store in Gaza. What was it for? Oh, well, we'll figure it out eventually. Let's see. Mark Carney. Or should we go back to the chat for a second? What are we, an hour and 47 in? Let's see. What are you guys talking about? What are you degenerates talking about? Rosie says, wonder how long they debated whether the oven would have a male or female voice. Well, they definitely had that debate, right? It's definitely a gay oven. Let's see. Izzy says, I'm not cool enough to get invited to such cool parties. Are you talking about the Epstein parties? Yeah, I think it's yeah, I don't think that the idea was that they were cool. I think it was that they were powerful people that could be blackmailed to great effect. I think that was the point of it. Let's see. Steve Tollison says Quiznos culture. Quiznos culture has gotten a little bit weird. Let's see. Izzy says, talking about Billie Eilish here, it only confirms she has been educated at a Leering Center. Leering Center. Let's see. All right. The chat's just getting weird now, guys. It's just getting weird. Let's see. I'm going to have to go through a little bit. Let's see. Rosie says, I think Billie was homeschooled by normal people. She is out on her own. Well, I think they're like her parents, or one of her parents was like a music producer in California. Like she comes from a connected family. And, I think very likely to be like very far left. Izzy says, my Alex Jones was right jar is awfully full. Just sad I was filling it with pennies, not gold coins. Yeah, a lot of people say that. Jeff Rico says, I resembled that dog. Well, it's a fine, very clean-cut looking dog, so good. Rosie says, dog from Nick Nolte to JDV. I think you're right. Radio Streamer makes a good point. Izzy, if you had the gold coins to fill it, you wouldn't need that savings jar. That's a solid point right there. Let's see. Let's see. All right. Spambot says the whole family is homeschooled. Well, I think they homeschooled them to be retarded libs, or libtards, as they call them. Let's see. Just because somebody's homeschooled, it doesn't mean that the parents are going to homeschool them well. Let's see. Spambot says the dad is a third-rate actor. Yeah, and the mom was like a music producer. I don't know. Something like that. Macross, how you doing, Macross? Says you have to wonder why she, that's Billie Eilish, would buy a house on stolen land. She sees herself as the protected class. It's us schmucks that need to surrender our property. Well, they do see themselves as separate from everybody else. They are a special class of Ubermen. Let's see. That's how they see themselves. You're an ant, basically. Let's see. All right, so what do we got next? We did the memes. Let's see. Mark Carney. Let me just update this, make sure I've got everything here. Carla Treadway posted this. Thank goodness someone fixed this video. Well, let's take a look. This has got music in it, so I'm not going to play that. But let's see. 2020. Hold on. Turn the music off. So let's see. 2025 this is what the liberals are saying. So this is a propaganda ad for the liberals. 2025 was the year of cutting your taxes, $11 average for Canadians. Thanks, Carney. That'll make up for all that inflation. 2025 was the year of building more affordable homes. 0 homes delivered. Thanks, Carney. Don't let the market do it. That's for sure. Waste a bunch of money, create new bureaucracies. Don't make it easier to actually build homes. 2025 was a year of diversifying our trade partnerships. 0 trade deals. Well, a bunch of MOUs, though. And, well, there is that thing with that China. There is that thing with we're now allied with China for some reason. There is that. Oh, yeah, we're taking 50,000 Chinese EVs. Brilliant. Let's see. 2025 was the year of fast-tracking major projects. 1 office opened. Very nice. 2025 was the year of making our streets safer. Crime at record levels. The city of Surrey is asking the federal government to declare a state of emergency because it's so bad. Thanks. Let's see. 2025 was the year of supporting Canadian workers. Thousands of jobs lost. Nothing has gotten better. For some weird reason, the Liberals haven't fixed everything, haven't fixed all the things that they've broken. 2025 was a year of investing in the Canadian Armed Forces. Tampons in male washrooms still required. Nice. There's promises to spend, whether or not that will happen. I mean, look, we don't even have the money anyway. Let's see. 2025 was the year of attracting massive investment. Reality, record investment left Canada $85 billion worth. Well, why wouldn't they? I mean, Carney seems determined to not have a trade seems determined to not smooth things over and have a trade deal with the United States. In fact, tariffs are worse now after 10 months of him. So he's done nothing for businesses to actually make businesses in Canada more competitive. So, yeah, obviously investment's going to leave Canada. That's why Trump could see all of this. That's why he told Canadians to vote for Mark Carney, which bizarrely they did. 2025 was the year of building one Canadian economy. 8 months, Canada still has 13 economies. Let's see. Empowering Canadians, destroying Canadians. Yeah, well, if empowering Canadians means trying to pass dystopian censorship bills, well, thanks, I guess, for that. All right. So the point being that the Liberals are still terrible. In fact, they're even worse, and all they do is lie. So what's this? Jason Levine, no surprise there. We did this. What are they pointing to? Trudeau and Carney. What are they pointing to? Well, it's this article down here. Canada's economy is on life support and country is in recession, economist says. Well, that's not what Rosemary Barton's teleprompter told me. We better take a look at this. Canada's economy is on life support and country is in recession watch, says economist. So let's take a look. Canada's economy is on life support. The nation is in a clear recession watch, and the Bank of Canada needs to cut rates further, says an economist. A new report from Rosenberg Research, Canadian Economy on Life Support, it's called, showed shows that despite interest rate cuts from a high of 5% in 2024, per capita GDP is still falling and the economy is growing at only 1% annually. So obsessing over carbon hasn't helped us. Weird. Moreover, the housing and manufacturing sectors are struggling with home prices down 2% year over year. Manufacturing, which relies heavily on U.S. trade, is down 5%. But the bureaucracies, the Carney bureaucracies, surely that's going to help. Let's see. It's clear to me, quote, it's clear to me, unless the policy lags are just a lot longer this time around, that this is what 275 basis points of Bank Canada rate cuts delivers. The grand total of 1% growth economy. David Rosenberg, chief economist and founder of Rosenberg Research, told BNN Bloomberg. The next question is that all you get? It's not going to get better. Look, Carney was Justin Trudeau's economic advisor from 2020 onward. Okay. Do you think that Trudeau had any idea of what to do in any situation when it comes to economics? This is the man who told us that we'd have to forgive him if he didn't think about monetary policy because he was worried about families and stuff. Yeah, maybe monetary policy kind of affects families. Maybe. I guess nobody told him that. But in any case, it seems very much like Justin Trudeau was just Mark Carney's protege. So why would anybody expect things to improve? In fact, they're getting worse because now Mark Carney has a free hand to just do whatever the hell he wants. So some of you might have seen this. This is a quote attributed to Julian Assange, and it's not real. It says, Carney is a DNC asset. The Liberal Party and the DNC are joined at the hip. DNC keeps their money in Canadian banks because it shields their money laundering from U.S. authorities. The amount of fraud going on in Canadian banks makes the Somali fraud look like child's play. Assange never said this. That's not real. But, what didn't they have Hillary Clinton at their convention in 2023? Like, yeah, there's obviously connection between the DNC and the Liberal Party. And, just as Labor and the Democrats and Labor, in the UK and the Liberals, they all help each other out. So, and that apparently that's fine, by the way. So if there's any kind of cooperation between the Conservatives in Canada and the Republicans in the States, whoa, traitors, right? It only works one way, of course. But anyway, that's not real. Let's see. Who is sick of hearing her? Ugh. Let's take a look. Transforming the auto sector. Let's take a look.
You know that Canada has always been a nation of builders. Strong over 500,000 workers, our auto sector has done more than build cars. It has built communities, livelihoods, and dreams. And behind every vehicle rolling off our assembly lines are Canadian workers with extraordinary skill. So behind every vehicle rolling off our assembly lines are Canadian workers with extraordinary skill.
Melanie Joly, has she ever done anything competently? Like, what? She looks good on camera. Is that the only reason she's around? So they're so concerned about the auto industry. That's why they're letting China send in 50,000 like heavily government subsidized EVs into Canada, which also is a big problem for the US, right? They're not going to let those things cross the border, right? Is that why they're now promising to subsidize American EVs coming across to Canada? Like, it's just all chaos. It just looks like total and utter incompetence. This is 48 minutes long, by the way. We sure as hell ain't watching that. This was posted by Mark Carney. Isn't he embarrassed to send her out? Like, isn't that embarrassing for him yet? Let's see. Marty up north posted this. said the announcement this morning is right out of Carney's book, his book Values. It's a flawed and dangerous strategy. His book preaches ditching market values, prices, competition, individual choice. So just letting the market decide, letting people decide for themselves, right? But ditching that for elite-imposed human values like sustainability, resilience, fairness, solidarity, and responsibility, which all have a lot to do with his global, pardon me, his global climate finance plans, right? Like his ESG fund at Brookfield. So when Carney talks about human values in his book, Values, he's talking about his values, and he presents it like everybody just agrees. All Canadians agree. These are our values. No, they're his values, and I wouldn't even say they're his values. They're his incentives. I would say perverse incentives, right? They use nice names like resilience, fairness, solidarity, and responsibility. Well, what's solidarity? Apparently, it's just elbows up, which means nothing more than if you don't just do what we say, you're a traitor to Canada or something. Sustainability means resilience. Sustainability, resilience, that just means pouring subsidies into companies that are connected to Mark Carney. That's all that means. Sustainability over freedom, heavy EV push, subsidies, stricter emissions, forcing Canadians into expensive green tech we don't want or can't afford or doesn't actually work very well in Canada, while ignoring real market demand. It's just central planning. Mark Carney, I think at heart, is a technocrat central planner. He sees you and me and everybody in Canada and everybody in the world as just a number on a spreadsheet. That's it. Resilience via government control, diversifying from U.S. reliance to a deal with China. I mean, great move. That's going to work out awesome because you can trust China. Top-down intervention. Everything is top-down intervention. It's all subsidies. It's all just subsidies and central control. Now they're getting rid of the EV mandate, for now at least, right? But a heavy dose of top-down government control and all kinds of new fuel standards. How much this is going to, emission standards, how much this is going to make cars cost, how much this is going to add to the cost of cars, we don't know yet. Probably lots. Anyway, that's I think you get the point, but it's all just about they're in control and you'll do what you're told. Here's something else. In the coming weeks, the federal government will release a draft of our national electricity strategy. Our objective is to more than double the size of Canada's electricity grid. Well, I don't know. What about small businesses are dropping like flies in Canada. That's really the backbone of the economy, quite frankly. We're no closer to getting a pipeline either, which he could just do. He could just say, it's going to go through. I am going to approve a pipeline. I have final say. David Eby does not. Coastal First Nations does not. He could just make it happen. He will not do it, right? But now he wants to more than double the size of Canada's electricity grid. Well, I mean, that's all great and everything, but is that the first priority for Canada? Really? I mean, the country's falling apart. Have you seen the employment numbers? Not good. Have you seen our national debt? Horrifying. Have you seen the deficit? Well, of course, Carney's seen the deficit because he's doubled it from what Trudeau wanted to do. So why an obsession now with doubling the electrical grid? Is it so that everybody will be forced? Is it for when everybody's forced to drive electric cars? Boy, a lot of money going to be made by a bunch of people for that, huh?
In the coming weeks, the federal government will release a draft, to be clear, a draft of our national electricity strategy, a strategy designed to complement provincial and territorial leadership. It our objective is to more than double the size of Canada's electricity grid, increase Canada's energy advantage, and deliver cleaner, more reliable, and more affordable power for Canadians. In the coming weeks.
So, and this, of course, will all be green, of course, right? And a lot of money to be made, a lot of money. Because Mark Carney's financial interests are very much tied up in Brookfield, which is very tied up in all the green stuff. I just want to, just out of interest, I just want to take a look here at, hold on one second. Hold on. Hold on a second. Give me 1 second. That's not it. All right, hold on a second. This is from 2023. What does this say? Why Canada needs an electricity strategy. Judging by the, hold on. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Okay. Judging by the $400 billion estimate recently disclosed by Ontario's grid operator, the cost, that's just Ontario's grid operator, the cost of power system improvements across Canada could exceed $1 trillion. $1 trillion. Canada doesn't have $1 trillion. And this is from a few years ago. How much is it now? $1 trillion. Canadian Politics and Public Policy published this. This is from 2023. So Canada can't afford this stuff. This seems like a luxury right now, and the country is falling apart. We're on recession watch, right? We have a massive national debt that we're paying over $1 billion a week just in interest, just on the interest for it. And that's going to keep going up with our $100 billion. What is it now? $100 billion deficit? This seems to me to be fairly insane, right? And he's doing nothing for just normal Canadians. Not absolutely nothing. I mean, what he is doing, the trying to buy votes by sending people checks, it's just causing more inflation, which eats up it's just a vicious circle, right? It's just a feedback loop. It looks to me like Mark Carney is trying to make himself and his friends very, very wealthy at Canada's expense, and he's willing to max out the national credit card to do so, because this doesn't make any sense. Canada's top priority is not getting everybody on electric cars. Okay? Yes, and they delayed the EV mandate. So what? What do you think he wants to double the size of the electric grid for? What do you think? It's for the car. It's for those cars. Bruce McGonigal, this was January 31st. Yeah, the economy shrank over the holiday season. How was that even possible? Usually the economy picks up over the holidays due to people buying gifts for loved ones. Well, it might have something to do with 10 years of him and Trudeau. Will Canadians ever learn? Probably not. All right, let us move on. In fact, maybe, first off, though, but no, actually, we'll go back to the chat for a minute. Let's see if we get something else on the women's sports channel. I like the football one. There we go. Okay, there we go. Oh, my. All right. Let us see. What are you guys talking about? Oh, you guys have been busy in the chat. What are you guys talking about? Give me a second. I'm getting tired now. Let's see. All right. Rosie asks Trudeau Survivor, any new flashlights? Yes, we're waiting. We're eagerly awaiting the next flashlight review video. Let's see. With narration. Let's see. Izzy says, I nearly died seeing chicken selling for $20 in bags of 3. Let's see. I don't know what you guys are talking about in here. I'm just gonna scroll through until I understand what you guys are talking about. Let's see. Bambot's saying Assange posted that on C. What is C? Last month. What is C? I looked into it. I didn't see any evidence that it was real. What is C? Let's see. Oh goodness, I thought C. I know I'm a Luddite. How did I miss it? What does it mean? I don't know. Can't type on this phone. Plunderworld, how you doing? Says Chinese workers are to industry what a rash is to genitals. Well, everything is heavily government subsidized to try and drive the competition out of business, and anywhere they get a foothold in, that's exactly what they do. Let's see. All right, give me a second. Let's see. I'm just trying to sort through all of this. Spambot's talking about all Brookfield modular nuke reactors. Well, yeah, Carney's interested in that. Like, I'm for nuclear. I'm not for the prime minister profiting off of it, though. Let's see. Jeff Rico says, so Carney is an all talk, no action guy. If it takes him 10 years, I guarantee they would be as successful as our high-speed rail in California. Well, I think that he's action on things that will benefit him. Right? He's not action on anything that will benefit Canadians. Spambot says, instead of the proven safe can-do design. Well, that's an excellent point. Yeah. Izzy says, yeah, Carney just wants to ensure his interests are covered through legislation forcing us to comply. Yes, he's in it for himself. I just think that's obvious at this point. Izzy says, well, we need to send millions to the third world for gender diversity programs. Don't forget about gender just rice. Don't forget about that one. Very important. Let's see. Those people can finally get on with their gender diverse lives. Spambot says that won't be Alberta's problem come a fall. Very hopeful. Let's see. Let's see. Macross says, if we want high-speed rail, we need Japanese, and they keep sending us Chinese. They just won't send their best. Well, you see the stuff from, what the hell's going on here? Why did that video stop? Oh, here we go. This is a good one. This is some good women's sports here. Did we watch this one already? This is a different one. Okay. What you don't see, you see all the flashy videos from China. What they don't show you is the crashes. They don't show you the disasters, which happen there all the time. Let's see. Rosie says, I have a cool flashlight review, but thinking of having TS narrate with his clear, crisp speech might be better than my obvious Southern drawl. Not Appalachian nor Paula Dean, but definitely not the Midwest. I just want more flashlight reviews, okay? However we get them. Rosie says, more like Todd Howell. Well, I think we all... I mean, is it time for this? I think it's time for this. I think everybody's right. What are we, 2 hours and 17 minutes in? I think it's all time for a Todd Howell break.
So the word on the street is Todd Howell, 30 years at Channel 10. Do you know how hard that is to believe? I just can't wrap my head around it, as we say in the business. But it's been a great 30 years. I can remember like it was yesterday when Todd Howell gave his first weather forecast and said, up here in Texas, I finally figured out where Texas was. So, but I thought maybe this isn't for him. But turns out it was.
Turns out it was. Damn straight it turned out it was. What an idiot. Doubting Todd Howell? What a fool. What a fool. Everybody should hate that man. Everybody. Let's see. But, I mean, he redeemed himself there at the end. But still, I mean, doubting Todd Howell? Yikes. A radio streamer says, also the buildings with nets. Yes, well, they have the net. Well, they used to anyway. I don't know if they still do, but they used to have the nets around the iPhone factories because the workers in the Chinese factories would throw themselves off the roof because it was so awful. Let's see. Spambot says, I read Aaron Clary's latest book, I Don't Want to Threesome with Jesus. Hilarious. I like Aaron Clary. He's good. Let's see. This isn't a link monkey, Macross says. Okay. Let's see. Well, should we get back to it? Should we just get back to it? Let's get back to it. All right. I want to go here. So Jamil Jivani is a Canadian conservative MP. I really like him. I think he's great. And it turns out that he went to Harvard with J.D. Vance, and they're good friends. And I think they probably bonded because they both, you know, they weren't the blue bloods at Harvard. So they were kind of outsiders. They didn't really fit in with all of like the rich kids and Nepo babies and all of that. So they're both, you know, not from wealthy background. J.D. Vance, I mean, you know, very poor town, Rust Belt town, drug addiction in his family. I mean, he really kind of is the evidence that there is social mobility in the United States. And anyway, they're good friends. So Jamil Jivani has gone down to try and help the Carney government with the negotiations on trade. And the Liberals aren't happy about this. I thought it was Team Canada. I thought everybody had to pull together, but apparently not. Apparently Team Canada's over now. They're mad. But let's hear Jamil Jivani talk about this.
In my opinion, this is not about posturing or politics. This is about business and workers. This is about unions and entrepreneurs. This is about whether we have a growing economy with stability for investment and opportunity for our young people, or whether our economy is perpetually in a state of uncertainty. I am kind of sick and tired of the politics on this issue. I'm sick and tired of the posturing and the virtue signaling. I'm sick and tired of people being worried about what someone's going to call you on Facebook or on social media comments, what the media might say. The reality is that there are people suffering right now in our country because of the state of our economy. And inasmuch as we want Canada to be as strong and independent as possible, the reality is that 3/4 of our exports go to the United States. And if we want an economy that is good for our young people, if we want an economy that supports public services for seniors in our communities, we've got to work with the Americans. There are people who've been running around this country for over a year now, talking about their elbows, flapping about. I just don't find that impressive. I don't find it serious. I take this issue seriously. And as a guy who went to law school in the United States and has a strong network there, I think I have something to offer to help build bridges of communication between our two countries. And that's exactly what I'm going to do.
When you think about it, you've got an asset that's good friends with the vice president. Like, that's incredibly lucky. That's great fortune, right? If you're really serious, you would put politics aside and say, yeah, let's use this guy. Let's work with this guy. That's not what's happening. Of course, Team Canada's over, apparently. The Northern Perspective posted this clip. Playing the Trump card, the Conservatives have held back their ace up their sleeve because Mark Carney wouldn't play ball. Now,
in my opinion,
now Jamil Jivani is going to Washington and could flip the table on Mark Carney if he's able to secure a possible deal with Trump. So Mark Carney had this asset, a fantastic asset. Just think about that. Good friends with the vice president? That should be a big deal. That's a card you should play. Not interested for some reason. That's not the Team Canada that Mark Carney and the CBC and Rosemary Barton's teleprompter were talking about. The Team Canada, the elbows up they were talking about was you just do what you're told. Here's Pierre Poilievre talking about this. This was posted by Mark Nixon.
Can I ask what advice you gave Mr. Jivani before his trip to Washington?
And who is he meeting there?
So the advice I've given all of our MPs is you need to fight for jobs in your community. Mr. Jivani's community has been hit with a massive job loss, 1,200 jobs in the auto sector, and he's going to fight for those auto workers, as all of our MPs have been doing. Mr. Carney had promised that he would get us a deal by last July. My message to him today is Conservatives are here to work with the Prime Minister and with the government to knock down these unjust tariffs and fight for our workers, fight for their jobs, and fight for our economic independence.
And I think it's time for this to happen. Mark Carney has achieved nothing. In fact, it's worse than nothing. The tariffs are worse now. They're worse now because of him. Right? I mean, clearly Carney is not actually trying to get a deal. He's using this for politics to try and get a majority. He's not interested in the well-being of Canadians. So he's not going to like this at all, right? He's not going to like Jamil Jivani trying to sabotage Carney's own sabotage of the country. He's not going to like that one bit. I think that's just simply what's happening here. Of course, the Liberals are all completely deranged about this. This was posted by Harrison Faulkner. Industry Minister Melanie Joly is asked if she briefed Jamil Jivani before he met with U.S. President J.D. Vance. Now, of course, this actually should have happened. She should be cooperating with him. It makes sense. If you wanted a deal, of course, that's a card you're going to play. If you were serious, if you actually cared about Canada. But can you believe this is the industry minister? It's just totally baffling. Industry minister Melanie Joly. Can you believe that she has that job? Let's take a look.
If I could ask you about Jamil Jivani, the conservative MP who headed to the United States. He said that he was going to meet, and I don't have confirmation, this is just through his social media channels, that he was going to meet with GM. And I just wondered if he had asked for a briefing or if you had offered one.
No, I think it's because I actually called him on it, saying that as MP in charge of Oshawa constituents that are working at GM, that are losing their job, why is he just embracing the Trump administration that is putting tariffs on them and having them, lose their job? And why is he basically not denouncing the U.S. auto tariffs?
Because that would be idiotic, right? If you're trying to get a deal, if you're trying to negotiate, just shouting and denouncing the Trump, that would be idiotic. That's why. Because he's not you. Can you believe this person has any position of power in the country? This is pathetic. This is like Mean Girls from high school. Like, it's baffling. This is why Canada's in the position that it's in, right? Wise Mark Carney puts her in control of anything. Totally baffling. Well, it's only baffling if you assume that they're trying to help Canada and help Canadians, right? If they're not, then if they're doing the opposite, if their intention is to just help themselves, well, then it makes a bit more sense. But this is pathetic. She should have been on the phone with him and said, okay, let's use this. We just want to help Canadians, right? You've lost 1,200. Your riding has lost 1,200 jobs. Let's see if we can get those back. That would be the responsible thing. That would be the Team Canada approach.
And that's just a question that across Oshawa people are asking.
He says he can be of help to the government by going there. Do you think that's possible?
People just across Oshawa, a question people are asking. What they're asking, why he's not acting like an idiot? Why he's not doing the most counterproductive thing possible? Like you? Ugh. Don't be Canada. If you're watching from outside, anybody watching from outside of Canada now, don't be Canada. Don't elect these people. They are useless.
I'm not in his heart nor in his mind. I'm just looking at what he says and what are the facts. And until I actually said on television that he was not talking and denouncing the GM layoffs, he didn't talk about it. And now he's talking about it.
Oh, yeah, he's all for them, obviously. He's embracing the Trump administration, and he's all for the GM layoffs, obviously. I mean, this is what passes for a politician, not only a politician, a minister in Canada. It is pathetic. What else have we got here? All right. So here's Lynn Brooks says, many of us are wishing Jamil Jivani well. All of Canada should be wishing him well. Canada and the USA need to mend our one big fence. Thank you, Jamil. Yeah, it's a funny thing. Even though that this ditz here, it can go on TV and say that, can go on CTV and talk about how everybody just needs to be shouting at the U.S. all the time. And the reasonable thing is just constantly denouncing them, right? We wake up the next morning and we still have this giant border with the United States. And 3/4 of our trade still goes there. We are quite dependent on it. None of that changes. None of her idiotic words or Mark Carney's word salad, incoherent gibberish at the World Economic Forum changes that. We wake up every morning and we're in exactly the same place, right next to the biggest economy in the world, with all of those roads and bridges and railway lines and pipelines going back and forth, which are just perfect for trade. And we still have a giant ocean on either side and a frozen wasteland to the north, right? And there's only so many crates of maple syrup we can sell to, Chechnya, right? All right. Let's see. Pleb Reporter posted this. El Bozos are completely crashing out that Jamil Jivani is in Washington to help fix the Canada-U.S. relationship. They are now tagging the RCMP and CSIS, asking he be arrested for treason for helping Canada get a trade deal. These liberal supporters are completely insane. Well, let's see. Jamil Jivani is a traitor and should be investigated by the RCMP and CSIS Canada and charges laid if required. I mean, this is beyond idiotic. These are the people that think that Trump's going to roll into Canada, at the head of an armored column to conquer the country. It's just bizarre, the level of stupidity. Here's Jamil Jivani. He says, I will never allow communist bootlicking to be normalized in this country. So I like the sound of this. Now, this is 3 minutes. We're not going to watch the whole thing. We're going to just kind of get to the end part here.
Of bootlicking centralized power. That's my opinion. And centralization of power would mean that the mistake that the NDP makes, in my opinion, even though sometimes I think they diagnose problems in our society well, is that they don't apply the same concern or monopoly and oligopoly to the state. And I think a consistent application of the concentration of power and the centralization of power would mean that whether it's in the private sector or in the government, it would be equally concerning. To be a communist, as I can assume you might be, is, I think, one of the more extreme forms of bootlicking centralized power. That's my opinion. And no, you're not going to interrupt. I do appreciate you being here and sharing your perspective. But if you look at bureaucrats in power, whether they're in large corporations or in government, and your conclusion is they need more power in their hands, not less, I fundamentally think that's not in the interest of the working class. I don't think centralized bureaucracies, whether they're for-profit or not, represent people who need a hand up in society very well. So that's why I think the NDP is wrong, why I think communism is wrong, and I will dedicate every waking minute of my political career to making sure communism is not normalized in this country.
Oh, that is just great. That is just great. What was that very last part again?
Hands, not less. I fundamentally think that's not in the interest of the working class. I don't think centralized bureaucracies, whether they're for-profit or not, represent people who need a hand up in society very well. So that's why I think the NDP is wrong, why I think communism is wrong, and I will dedicate every waking minute of my political career to making sure communism is not normalized in this country.
Every waking moment to make sure communism is not normalized in this country. I will never allow communist bootlicking to be normalized in this country. You see why I like them? Smart, articulate, and coherent. And this is what Canada needs, right? Just forthright like this. I think he's great. I think he's fantastic. You can see why the left hates him, though, right? Definitely a threat to them, because that was good. That was really good. Let's see. I would absolutely vote for him. Let's see. Hold on. All right. I just want to get to the chat on this one. I want to see what you guys had to say about him. Izzy says, this guy knows what he is saying. Spambot says, tapping out needs sleep. Well, thanks for stopping in, Spambot. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow night. Because we're doing a special Saturday stream because I had to miss 3 streams earlier in the week. So we're going to do, and also there's no Sunday stream. So we're doing a special Saturday night stream, same time, 7:30 Pacific time. Hope to see you then. Izzy says, Trump told them what he wants and they haven't budged on anything for politics. Yeah, and it actually, if it's correct, what the reporting I've seen out of Bloomberg, if it's correct, what they actually want, they want movement on the dairy cartel, and they want Canada to get rid of the online bills, like the Online News Act. Uh, yeah, I mean, it should be. Frankly, it should be not that difficult. It should be not that difficult. That's not that much to save the country. Let's see. Rosie asked, you talking about Melanie Jolie? She's French Canadian. Yeah, same woman. Kahuna, how you doing, Kahuna? Says, oh, for fuck's sakes, our retard minister. She's not the only one. She's not the only one. There's that, I call him the affable halfwit, Gary Ananda Sangari. I love saying his name, but he is a halfwit. Let's see. Kahuna says Jamil did a great job. Yeah, I'm a huge fan. Kahuna says Jolie is a retard. Beautiful, beautiful. Let's see. Chef Rico says, here's a crazy idea. Drop all of your tariffs and we drop ours. What an idea. Well, actually, Scott Besant talks about that. But unfortunately, Carney is making that difficult with his China deals. Let's see. McCross says, I have a better idea. Let's charge 50% tariff to each other and fuck income tax. You know what? That doesn't sound terrible. Let's see. Izzy says, like him already. That's Jamil Jivani. Radio Streamer says, damn, that was good. Yeah. I think he's got a great future in Canada. Let's see. Izzy says, I'd vote for him. Izzy says, does he have Chinese connections? I have not seen anything that would suggest that. Radio Streamer says, I think that man gave me an anti-commie election. I mean, I see him as the leader in the next election. Did you mean anti-commie erection? I think that's what you meant. Approved. All right. Chef Rico says he's also a person of diverse background. What would that do to their narrative? They don't care. They just call them racist anyway, white supremacists anyway. Don't forget, LA Times headline, Larry Elder is the black face of white supremacy. Never forget. Macross, if I was leader, income tax and property tax would be gone, and sales tax and tariffs would be government revenue earners. Something's got to break, right? Wait a second. Something beautiful has happened. What the heck? What the heck? What is going on here? Rosie gifted 5 subscriptions to Radio Baloney. 5 subscriptions. Good Lord. This is one of the most beautiful things that's ever happened on this channel. 5 subscriptions, people. Guess what, Rosie? Guess what? Somebody's the best person ever, and unless your name is Rosie, it ain't you. Rosie, thank you very much. 5 gifted subscriptions. This is the best thing anybody can do for the channel. Now we got 5 people, Kahuna, Shefrico, Macross, Radio Streamer, Izzy, can all watch the premium stream on Monday. What a beautiful thing. That's why we say that Rosie's the best person ever. Now, I know you've got people you admire from history, Einstein, I don't know, whatever, right? Lots of great people. Unfortunately, compared to Rosie, all human garbage. They're still great, but compared to Rosie, human garbage. Why? Because Rosie is. And you can be too if you give me stuff. If you give me stuff. All for less than the cost of a brand new Tesla Cybertruck. I mean, what a beautiful thing. All right. But seriously, it is awesome, and I appreciate that very much. Kahuna says Gary Alphabet is a retard. You're talking about Gary Ananda Sangari. Now, Gary isn't his real first name. Right? His real first name is unpronounceable in English. But the last name is Ananda Sangari. I think that's why he's called Gary, because the end is Gary. Ananda Sangari. I think that's why they call him Gary. But I go with halfwit. Affable halfwit. But, retard works as well. Let's see. Rosie says, now all of you better show up for premium stream on Monday night. Yeah, what Rosie said. Let's see. Kahuna says, in an independent Alberta, 0 income tax. Is it too much to dream of? Is it? Let's see. McCross says Rosie is moneybags. I don't think she is. I think she's just the best person ever. That's what I think. I mean, I pressed the button, didn't I? Let's see. All right. And don't forget, all of you who are now members have access to the premium emojis. I see you're using them already. There's a special Todd Howell one in there. Very special Todd Howell emoji. So be sure to use that. Jeffrigo says Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, morons compared to Rosie. I say dog shit compared to Rosie. That's what I say. All right. Anyway, let's get back to this because we're 2 hours and 42 minutes in, and we got a lot still to go over. Let's see. Glenda M posted this. After seeing all the negativity and outright maliciousness against Jamil Jivani simply for making an effort to smooth things down with our neighbors, I am now thoroughly convinced that Team Canada is a fallacy. It's bullshit. Team Canada meant do what we say or we'll call you a traitor. That's it. Team Canada meant sit down and shut up. Team Canada meant mindlessly stick your elbows up and do a chicken dance in front of Rosemary Barton on the CBC in your living room. And don't think about it for a second. That's what Team Canada meant. So yeah, these are old friends from school, go way back. Obviously, it makes perfect sense to send JD Vance or to send Jamil Jivani down there. Obviously, and if the Liberals actually cared, actually held Canadians' interests in mind instead of their own, yeah, they would have been all over this. In fact, it would have just been a good look for them, quite frankly. Shows how incompetent they are. Here's an update from Washington, D.C. from Jamil Jivani. Let's take a look.
Hello, Canada. I'm here in Washington, D.C., where I've been having some very productive, promising, and positive conversations with the White House, with the State Department, with senators representing border states that we do a lot of business with in Canada. And I got to tell you, I'm feeling hopeful and optimistic that we can get something really good done for Canadian workers and businesses. Might take some time, but I really believe that the doors are open here. Positive conversations are possible. I have made some jokes about the United States becoming Canada's 11th province. Americans don't seem that interested. They seem happy with their country, but I am really hoping that I can bring my insights and what I've learned here back to Ottawa, share them with Prime Minister Mark Carney and Minister Dominic LeBlanc. And this can be the beginning of a truly nonpartisan approach to working with the United States. This is not a partisan issue. It's not about liberals or conservatives. This is about Canadian workers and Canadian businesses and how we can make sure our economy is growing and our economy is thriving. I will be heading home tomorrow, back to Bowmanville, Oshawa North. But before then, I will be meeting with some business leaders that I'm really looking forward to hearing from, as they are job creators that employ thousands of Canadians. And I can't wait to get back home this weekend to see my wonderful niece and nephew. God bless you. God bless Canada.
Now, the angle that he was filming that at was a bit unfortunate because I didn't really need to be able to see all the way up his nostrils. So he could have held the camera a little bit different, but I am willing to forgive him because he is 1,000 times better than any of the dingbat buffoons that the liberals have sent down to the United States. And that's including Mark Carney himself. So I'm a big fan of Jamil Jivani. I think he's great. I think he's the future of the party. I think he's fantastic. I would absolutely vote for him. So let's see. Aaron Rupar posted this. Kennedy, if Canada came to the U.S. and said, we're going to go let's just watch it. So this is how well the liberals have been handling the negotiations. Let's take a look.
The foremost reason for tariffs is to try to stop other countries from taking advantage of us through either their tariffs or trade barriers. If Canada, for example, came to the United States and said, we're going to zero tariffs in the United States, all of them are off on our end. Would you, Mr. President, speaking to our president, go to zero tariffs and then just let Canadian companies and American companies compete on a level playing field?
Absolutely not. As we saw last week, when 2 weeks ago, when Prime Minister Carney went to China, he lowered tariffs on Chinese EVs from 100% to 6%. U.S. has 100% tariff on Chinese EVs. We couldn't let our northern border be used as a way for Chinese EVs to come into the U.S.
Right. Okay.
Geez, it's almost like Carney sabotaging the whole thing for his own perverse incentives. Huh. Weird that. I mean, I personally, it would be a godsend. Zero tariffs across the board would be a godsend for Canadian business, right? And it's like 80% of our products are already at zero tariffs going across, but to have it completely across the board would be a godsend for Canada. That would be fantastic. But it can't happen if you're cutting deals like Carney has done with China, right? Because they don't want. Maybe you could maybe you could have a deal where renegotiate Kuzma or USMCA, where those are excluded, right? Anything foreign is excluded, which is generally the deal that we already had anyway, like the tariffs on cars. The CBC never told anybody this, but the 25% was never on the whole car. It was just on non-USMCA compliant parts. So namely like parts from China, right? The effective tariff was actually like about 4%. So I don't know. It seems like if you had a government working in good faith in Canada, it all sounds actually pretty reasonable, right? Something should be done. Something should be done. If you had a government working in good faith that actually wanted to get a deal instead of play politics. So let's move on. Let's see. I can't believe you guys are hanging around watching like almost 3 hours in. We're talking about Canada-US trade. And you guys are hanging around. That's amazing. Let's see. I think that is everything we got there. All right, let's move on. So John Smith. So Carney is in the Epstein files multiple times. That's 69 times. And press-wise, it's almost crickets. Would anyone have any idea if Pierre Poilievre's name appeared even once? The press would want the latter to be on a predators list. Yeah, Pierre Poilievre's name is not in the Epstein files. Carney's is 69 times. Now, it doesn't appear that the 69 times is anything outside of just talking about finance. He was, board, the governor of the Bank of England and the Bank of Canada as well. It's not unusual his name would be in there. So I don't read anything into that. But the Canadian media, if it were Pierre Poilievre, Absolutely, they have a field. They'd be speculating day and night. They'd have constant experts in to speculate on it and how it looks really bad. And Pierre Poilievre's really bad. He should probably not be the conservative leader anymore because he's so bad. Almost makes you think the lady doth protest too much, huh? How much they hate Pierre Poilievre, how much they're telling us constantly that he shouldn't be the conservative leader. Oh, no, he's really bad. You should get somebody else. Almost like they're a bit afraid of him, huh? Weird that. Anyway, so from Jinglai Hey, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, here's a clip of Pierre Poilievre owning Carney in Parliament. And Pierre Poilievre is just a lot better at this than Carney is. Let's take a look.
I recognize that the leader of the opposition is just visiting his riding and will be running in another riding in the next election.
Who's riding next time?
He should spend some time, I would suggest, Mr. Speaker, with the farmers in his riding who benefit from our trade deal with China, $7 billion of new exports, who benefit from the biofuel charge that supports canola production, supports farm income, supports our people.
By the way, last time I saw, Carney didn't even have an office open in his riding, right? The one he forced somebody else out of. So he's not really one to talk about anything regarding that. Let's continue.
Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, I realize the Prime Minister is just visiting Canada. I welcome him. Let's go to my ride. Let's go to Drumheller. Let's go to Camrose. Let's go to Consort and let's ask them if they believe that when you charge a 7-cent a liter tax on diesel and on gasoline to grow and ship food, when you tax fertilizer and farm equipment, whether that gets passed on in the highest grocery prices in the G7. Is he ready to make that trip and talk about that tax?
Anyway, that was good. I realize the Prime Minister's just visiting Canada. Yeah, the place he parachuted into after not even living in the country for like 13 years. He's barely spent any of his adult life in Canada. It's just the whole idea that Mark Carney was some sort of super patriot was always so absurd. Anyway, that was good. Pierre's just a lot better than Carney is at this. Let's take a look from JJ McCullough. He says, this data on Canadian Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre's net approval with different age groups reveals just how unique conservative politics in Canada has become. Well, young people have switched. Young people were always left-wing in Canada. Now it's switched, right? Now Pierre has an advantage, 18 to 44, an advantage. 45 to 59, minus 6%, 60% and over, minus 28% underwater with seniors, with boomers. So that's just a total reversal. It's weird, right? It tells you just how desperate young people have become in Canada, because Canada is a different country than it was when it was first claimed by the new radical leftist progressive liberals. So when when Justin Trudeau remade the Liberal Party in his own radical leftist image, and the Liberals have been working to remake Canada into a radical leftist country ever since. Justin Trudeau called Canada the first post-national country. It said we had no core identity, right? And we were this perpetual, infinite genocide state. Seniors have enjoyed it because of how much home equity they've reaped over that time. And that's why you see this. You have the liberal boomers. Now, there's a lot of great boomers in Canada. Some of them even watch this show. A lot of awesome ones. But the leftist liberal boomers in Canada, I think at this point we have to say, are the most selfish generation in Canadian history. The most selfish and narcissistic in Canadian history. Because you can see the young people feel totally and utterly betrayed. Right? Canada is a different country. When Trudeau took over, before he started to transform Canada into his image, young people in their 20s wouldn't be easy, but they could still afford to start their life, start a family, buy a house. They didn't have to have an 8-hour commute to work every day, right? After 10 years of the Liberals, of Carney, of Trudeau, and now Carney, for huge swaths of Canadian young people, that dream is just dead. So that makes this country a different country from when Justin Trudeau took over. It's different. It's not the same, right? The dream has died for young people in Canada. It is not the same country after a decade. They're right to feel betrayed by the government and to want common sense and some hope. These liberal boomers that keep voting for more of it because they're terrified of losing 5% of their home equity. It's shameful. It's shameful. This isn't, old men planting trees, the shade of which they'll never know, just doing it to just kind of pay it forward for the next generation, caring about what they leave behind. No, this is utter and total selfishness. And it's disgraceful, and they should be ashamed of themselves, all of them. All of them that voted for Carney, that just keep voting for the same thing because it benefits them, and screw everybody else. It's awful. Now, I'm only talking about the people that are actually voting for that. There's a lot of awesome boomers, millions and millions of awesome boomers in Canada too. How about this? February 5th, 2026. From the Pleb Reporter posted this. Pierre Poilievre demands that the Liberals deport every Indian gangster from Canada. It just seems like common sense. Now, the extortion crisis in Canada, you have the city of Surrey in British Columbia asking the feds to declare a state of emergency, a literal state of emergency, because of the explosion of extortion and crime in Surrey, okay? Something has to be done, right? And we know the source of this. It is from immigrants from India. We know that, right? There's nothing racist about this. It's just reality asserting itself, right? When you import millions of people, they're not vetted. You don't even really know who they are. They're not doing criminal background checks. And there's a bunch of corruption involved. Well, of course you're going to end up with a bunch of criminals you didn't want. They're going to take advantage of it. So it just seems to me like the reasonable thing would be to say, you're not allowed to be here anymore.
Bloomberg just said that the economy in Canada is shrinking under that minister and this prime minister. But from failed economic Liberal policy to failed immigration Liberal policy, Liberals have unleashed an extortion crisis by allowing Bishnoi gangsters into our country without screening. Now they are allowing them to stay here by even after they're convicted if they make a phony refugee claim. Conservatives moved a motion at committee to kick extortionists out of our country after they've been convicted. Liberals voted it down. Wow. Will they join with us, stop obstructing, pass an amendment to the law so that we can kick extortionists and fake refugee claimants out of Canada?
The Honorable Minister of Justice.
Like, that's just common sense. That's just basic pragmatism right there. They should be here. Get them out. Why do we need that? This is not enriching society.
Mr. Speaker, when it comes to extortion, the Conservatives have been uniquely unhelpful in advancing the laws that police are telling us they need to combat extortion. I received a message this morning from Patrick Brown, the Mayor of Brampton, saying that the Peel Regional Police have asked him to pass along the message that the Strong Borders Act is necessary to provide lawful access to help law enforcement break up extortion rings. Mr. Speaker, for months they have obstructed measures that were going to make bail and sentencing tougher on extortionists. It's one thing to stand up and make noise in the House of Commons. It's another to get the laws adopted. Let's do the job Canadians demand.
That's right. This will be here for 10 years. 10 years now, right? As they've been dismantling the country, destroying the country, creating just chaos in this country, it's always the Conservatives' fault somehow, even though they haven't been in power for a decade. Somehow it's their fault. Nothing to do with them. They're just, everything they do is great.
The honorable member for Belch.
All right. Let's see. It's amazing people that there are people that still vote for it, still believe it. Pierre Poilievre. Breaking. New Statistics Canada jobs report shows 52,000 private sector jobs lost in January, 28,000 in manufacturing alone. Job-killing liberal taxes and anti-development laws are putting people out of work. We must quickly greenlight big projects, get our resources to market, and cut taxes on reinvestment in Canada so our country can be strong, sovereign, and united, and so our workers can earn the paychecks that will give them an affordable life. I think they should go further, actually, and just slash taxes across the board. I think that will help. You want to attract investment to Canada. These are the sorts of things you need to do. You don't need to reinvent the wheel, right? The Liberals have reinvented the wheel. It's square now. It doesn't work, right? We just need pragmatic stuff. This is a good start. I don't think it goes far enough, though. But at least it's sane, right? At least it's sane. All right. All right. Let's get on to Alberta independence. So Rise of Alberta posted this. And yeah, so the word treason is being thrown around very casually right now. Where was that? Where was that with Quebec? Right, there's a lot of separatist sentiment rising in Quebec right now. Nobody's calling them treasonous or traitors for some reason. Why is that? Are they just trying to piss off Albertans even more and make them want to leave even more? It seems like it. Let's take a look.
Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, that being separation. We are well aware that there is a large and growing number of Albertans that have lost hope in Alberta having a free and prosperous future as a part of Canada. Many of these Albertans are organizing petitions to trigger a citizen-initiated referendum, as I mentioned earlier. The vast majority of these individuals are not fringe voices to be marginalized or vilified. They are loyal Albertans. They are quite literally our friends and neighbors who've just had enough of having their livelihoods and prosperity attacked by a hostile federal government. They're frustrated, and they have every reason to be. I want to talk directly to those Albertans. There are thousands of Albertans who are so frustrated with the last 10 years of Ottawa's attacks on their friends' and families' livelihoods that they feel Alberta would be stronger and more prosperous as an independent nation. That is an understandable and justifiable feeling to have, even if we disagree on what to do about it. These Albertans are not traitors, nor should they ever be treated as such. They just love their province and family and want a better future than the one Ottawa is offering them right now.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Alberta Premier Danielle Smith. I think she's the best premier in the country. And, her take has always been that her position has always been that she wants a sovereign Alberta within a united Canada, right? And that Alberta needs to have far more of a say in what happens with its resources, for instance, and with equalization payments, because basically Eastern Canada is sucking them dry. And then essentially ridiculing Alberta and seemingly intentionally hamstringing them all the time on everything, certainly on resources. Obviously, Alberta is a big resource province. And I believe her when she says she wants a sovereign Alberta within a united Canada. But I also think that she clearly respects the separatists and and I think if there is there's going to be a referendum. So the petition, I think, is easily going to reach its 10% of last election's vote, 177,000 signatures. So there will be a referendum. And I do believe that if Albertans, and this is not certain that this will happen, but if they do vote in favor of separation to become an independent country, she'll respect that. I think that's pretty clear, right? And I don't know, all these people talking about democracy, well, they don't seem to like this kind of democracy. Not when they're losing, what, $20 billion a year in transfer payments. They don't like it, right? When they're sucking Alberta dry, they don't like it. So I think that the level of hypocrisy that we see from the talking heads on the CBC and from just liberals in general, because, talking about just throwing around the word treason and traitors and blah, 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 when we never see that. We've never seen that with Quebec. They don't use that about Quebec. And again, separation, Quebec independence sentiment is back on the rise. They're not using that with Quebec. And there was one other thing I wanted to put in, but now I'm getting tired and I can't remember. The other thing is, and just the ridiculous lies they keep saying, right? Like they keep trying to smear the independence people as wanting to be the 51st state. They want to join America. No, they don't. They've made it very clear they don't want to join the United States. They want to be their own sovereign country. And they can just say it over and over and over again in the Toronto Star and the CBC. It's not going to make it true. In fact, it's just going to enrage Albertans even more and convince people that didn't want independence that maybe they do when they see the terrible treatment, the malign treatment they receive from the Laurentian elite. So, yeah. Anyway, I think this is a great response from Danielle Smith. I think it's an excellent response. I like her a lot. All right, so I think we've seen all of that. Let's do this one. Actually, let's go back because I know you guys are going to have something to say about Alberta independence. Let's see. Rosie says, we are hanging around. We have a betting board on how many seconds of dead air you stream. What is it, up to an hour at this point? Well, it's only dead air because I'm looking through you guys' chat because I respect you guys and I want to, give you the respect you deserve. Let's see. Well, normally too, I sometimes forget to, I press the mute button on the soundboard and I forget to unpress it. So yeah. All right. Let's see. They're actually measuring how much. Apparently it's 2 minutes. Jesus, people, I try and I try and I try. It's never good enough. Let's see. Kahuna says, be careful on this baloney. The Western boomers are online with this. It is the Eastern boomers that are the issue. I say it all the time. There's millions of great, awesome boomers in Canada. And I know a lot of boomers are struggling as well. They're not all sitting on, houses that the price went up by, a bit trillion %, right? But I'm talking about those liberal boomers who will just vote liberal for life, right? And they just don't care. And really, at heart of it, it's they're worried they'll lose 3% of their home equity if somebody else is in power. The liberals have shut that home equity right up through the roof for them, and that's all they seem to care about. As he says, us old farts are struggling too. Yeah, there's lots that are struggling. I know. I'm never talking about all. Very specifically talking about those. There's that subset that I'm talking about. Although Izzy is Gen X, well, stop lying to everybody then. Kahuna says, hate to say it, the RCMP are corrupt and or handcuffed. Well, there was that, what was it, 7 of them just arrested for corruption? Mostly, I think, RCMP. The police in Canada have generally always been pretty great, actually. But they're corrupted. Not corrupted. They're handcuffed most of the time by leadership. Izzy says, most people don't understand any of this or how it affects the economy, just voting by team color. Yep, 100%. Izzy says, yeah, I agree with everything she is asking for, talking about Danielle Smith, and support her too, but I'm voting for independence in large part because Smith isn't getting anything. Well, she is putting the effort in that she needs to put in, right? So she's doing the best she can. But yeah, I mean, you got to, takes two to tango. Drake asks what? How you doing? Asks what is the RCMP? Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Let's see. All right. All right. All right. Izzy says, yeah, not Daniel's fault. Yeah, it's not. She's doing her best. She has to give them enough rope to hang themselves is basically what she's doing, I think. Let's see. What do we got here? What's this? Okay, so, well, Canada. Wall Street Apes posted this. So Canada is getting famous, not just, Canada is getting famous for being woke. So Wall Street Apes, that's an American account there. But the rest of the world is laughing at Canada all the time now. Toronto City Councillor Shelley Carroll announces they have renamed a park. And I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce this. That this has happened with a bunch of places, streets, and that are just unpronounceable names at this point. And this is to, because of colonialism or decolonizing. Let's watch this. And I remind you, this is not satire. Don't be Canada. Watch.
Hence the name Eta Nona Wastina. It translates to where they lived good and beautiful lives.
That's all it is. It's so easy. It's so easy. Let's hear that again.
It's the name Eta Nona Wastina.
Could you spell that for me? No, I can't. I literally could not spell that. Sorry. I mean, you had a street in Vancouver being renamed to something not only unpronounceable but unwritable. It had weird characters that aren't on your computer keyboard or on your phone, right? So people are having all kinds of horrible trouble. Like they're having to, just to get basic bills and stuff. They're having things delivered to their house, right? They have all kinds of problems with their mail because you've got these weird names now that don't make any sense. She's thrilled about it. This is what we call woke dysfunction, right? Where things just stop working, right? It's nothing is what it was originally intended for anymore. Now it's just spreading the mind virus. This is a great example of that.
It translates to where they lived good and beautiful lives. Learning to say the name is just a small way we can all be accountable to healing our relationship with our nation's First Peoples. So let's go. Try it with me. Eta Nona Wastina.
No, I'm not doing it. Sorry. I don't know. Healing our relationship. I don't know. Didn't electricity do that? And the internet and modern medicine, not dying at 30 anymore. Right? I don't know, all the things we enjoy in a modern technological civilization. Didn't that kind of do that a little bit? Isn't that kind of good? Can we have, instead of with the land acknowledgements, can we have an electricity acknowledgement? Right? Can we have a modern dentistry acknowledgement? Can we have a not dying from a cavity acknowledgement? Can we have an air travel acknowledgement? Can we just have an acknowledgement for having a modern society that everybody enjoys and is just incomprehensibly better than living a pre-industrial life? Where you're you can be pretty sure you're probably going to live past 30, 35, right? You're probably going to live at least twice as long now for obvious reasons. Like, this is all insane. Does this long string of letters even mean what she's saying it means? Is it just some invention? Like, is it just fake? I don't, who knows?
Nonna Wastina. Nonna Wastina.
Nonna Wastina.
Not satire. This just is insane. This is just an advertisement to the rest of the world to not be like Canada. She says residents must learn to pronounce the new park name to be held accountable with First Peoples. I don't know. I mean, again, like, Canada is not just the land, it's the civilization built on it, which everybody prefers to living like, I don't know, like a pre-industrial nomad lifestyle, for instance, right? Or, a life where at any time a bunch of a different tribe can just come over the hill and slaughter everybody and just take the women and children as slaves. Like, there's some advantages to Canada, right? To living in a, first world technological civilization. How long it will be that for with people like this running things, I don't know. It looks like our economy is going off a cliff when we're heading to third world status, like France is. But can we just stop this nonsense? Naming things like these. Can you spell that for me? No. Who's going to be able to spell that? Who's going to be able to spell this? It doesn't even, it's not even written how it sounds. Like, this is lunacy. Total and utter lunacy.
Everything woke turns to shit.
This is a joke. An unbelievable joke. Like, it makes us look like idiots. Like her. Like this buffoon here. This woke buffoon. What's this? Tristan Opper said, on the bright side, in just the last few months, the tech sector has seriously come around to the notion that things in Canada are deeply broken. All it took was constant rallies of low IQ geriatric fascists. Yes. Let's see. Can I find, where is it down here? I want to find one of the other street naming things where it's changed to something unpronounceable and unspellable. Must be in here somewhere. Let's see. No, I'll never find it. It's too late. Screw it. We'll move on. All right. Canadian media. I might do this one tomorrow because we're 3 hours and 18 minutes in already. And this one is going to this is like a half-hour segment right here. Let's save this for tomorrow, actually. All right. EU. Cut My Text posted this. France is heading towards third world status, reports The Times, because it spends too much, taxes too much, and borrows too much. Gee, does that sound like anywhere? Oh, yeah, that sounds like Canada. Exactly like Canada. Let's see. Well, Mark Carney did say that Canada's the most European of the non-European countries, and I guess this is what he was talking about. Let's see. The slow pauperization of France is a consequence of policies that are as costly as they are inefficient, writes Professor Frédéric Douay in Le Figaro. The mantra of our technocrats, hey, technocrats, that's Mark Carney, and politicians is that tax rises resolve our problems. But Britain is only 1 percentage point ahead of France in GDP per capita. We're pursuing the same policies and are also heading towards third world status. Well, there's been some ink about both Britain, both the UK and France needing a bailout. So from the IMF. So, not good. France spirals down EU wealth list towards third world status. Well, one thing they did, which probably wasn't great, was importing a giant foreign underclass, like 60% of which will never work and are just a net loss to your economy every year. So that's probably not that smart. Let's see. And of course, there's the cultural part of it as well. Let's see. Based in Bougie says this is France. So there's a cultural part of it as well, where just your country isn't your country anymore. Now it's just that. I mean, looking a lot like the third world there, isn't it? Let's see. Objective Truth posted this. France is now a third world shithole. Uh-oh. Congrats to the French governments and oh geez. So there's a lot of that on the internet these days. Let's see. 6 people have been injured after a man launched a grenade into a beauty salon in Grenoble, France. The attack occurred after 3 p.m. on Friday. Among the injured is a 5-year-old child. Jesus. Get this. Boom. Boom. What was taken by surprise when, you see something like this and they just decide to throw like it's just anything bad. They just decide, well, it's also, whatever. Just it's the J's as well. I find it weird. It's like a non sequitur, right? Like Macron, who's Macron? Like Macron, is he Jewish? I don't think he is. Let's see. Meanwhile, in Marseille, France, the short clip was accompanied by the caption, the favelas of France, referring to the favelas in Rio being like that.
Des quartiers de merde. Regarde ça. Regarde. On dirait on est à la déchetterie. Wallah, j'en peux plus. Voilà, j'en peux plus. Regarde-moi ça. Oh, franchement, c'est rosier.
Oh, God. It's awful. It really is awful. X-Freeze. France officially sinks to third world country status. Macron, quick, raid the X offices. The memes are in real danger. You want to know why the UK and France, countries like that, are so desperate to ban X, to get rid of X? Yeah, they just don't want people accurately describing reality, the reality they see around them every day. Somehow they can just hide from it all that way. It's awful. Why France is at risk of becoming the new sick man of Europe. That's no secret, right? Let's see. Oh, yeah, here we go. Tommy Robinson posted this. Spanish far left. She says that she hopes for replacement theory. She says, I hope we can sweep this country of fascists and racists with immigrants. So, what do they say about conspiracy theories these days? First, it's not happening, and then, well, it's not. It is happening, but it's not a big deal, and then it's happening, and it's really good. So.
Quiero pedirles a las personas migrantes y racializadas que por favor no nos dejen solas con tanto facha. Y claro que sí queremos que voten, claro que sí. Hemos conseguido papeles, regularización ya. Y ahora vamos a por la nacionalidad o a cambiar la ley para que puedan votar, por supuesto. Ojalá, teoría del reemplazo, ojalá podamos barrer de fachas y de racistas este país con gente migrante, con gente trabajadora. Claro que yo quiero que haya reemplazo de fachas, reemplazo de racistas, reemplazo de vividores y que lo podamos hacer con la gente trabajadora de este país, tenga el color de la piel que tenga, sea china, negra, marrona, con todas compañeras las gentes trabajadoras de este país.
So this is Spain. Has it occurred to this woman that the migrants might be racist themselves and maybe against her? The Muslims have never forgotten about the Reconquista, right? Spain was colonized by Muslims for 700 years, right? And they want it back. They talk about that quite openly. Be careful what you wish for, lady. Yeah, the government of Spain is saying openly they want to naturalize 500,000 foreigners so that they'll just be a one-party state forever, because they know those people will vote for them, for the socialists that are running Spain right now. So horrifying, just horrifying. Yeah, horrifying. Like, this woman has no idea what her fate would be, right? No idea what her fate would be. She's got no clue. But it wouldn't be good. If she gets what she wants, it's not going to be good for her. All right, let's see. All right. Oh yeah, just so on the issue of France sinking to third world status after devastating new figures emerge. Emmanuel Macron is now facing an infernal spiral amid warnings of a demographic collapse. Well, all those millions of people who are supposed to come in and take all the jobs, do all the jobs that I guess the French people didn't want to do. Turns out they didn't want to do them either, and they're just all on benefits. Let's see. For the third consecutive year, the country's wealth per capita sits below the EU average and has now fallen beneath that of Cyprus, according to Eurostat data. Jesus. Yeah, this is what Mark Carney wants to bring us closer to, right? These are our new allies, I guess, our new middle power allies that we're going to rebel against the United States with. This basket case, the EU. Good Lord. Total insanity. All right. So here we're at the last tab of the evening. And let's see. Now, anybody watching on YouTube, subscribe to my new YouTube channel, Radio Baloney News. I've had it for about 5 months now. It's all the U.S. news and world news and meme reviews. You can see down here, we've got like meme review and Victor Davis Hanson and Konstantin Kisin and meme review and Trump slams the green sky. All that stuff is going to be on this channel only now. The channel you're watching right now is for live streams and Canadian news only. So please go and subscribe to Radio Baloney News, the new channel. Thank you so much. Let's go back to the chat for a minute. 3.5 hours. Crazy. Let's see. Rosie says we have not spammed noodles. Well, thank you so much. That's so thoughtful. Maybe we'll bring out noodles tomorrow. And you did not play the Can You Still Hear Richie? So nasty. So nasty. So mean. Cruel. I would say it's cruel when they do that to me. They pretend they can't hear me. Cruel. Let's see. Rosie says, all in all, I think we have behaved. You guys have been great. You guys have all been angels. Let's see. Angels with dirty faces. That's what I'm saying. Let's see. Izzy says, that's retarded. Talking about the renaming of the park. It is. It literally is retarded. It's beyond stupidity. Let's see. Chef Rico still think it's Norwegian. Who knows? It could be. We don't even know if any of this stuff is real. Like the weird alphabet that they use as well. Not in that name, but in other, like in the street in Vancouver. That's all just there was no written language in North America before colonization. So that's a colonizer invention anyway. It's all so incredibly stupid. And Drake, I don't know how you say it. Adrake, are your A&W restaurants great there? You know what? They're pretty good. Canada, he says they're gross in Texas. They're actually pretty decent here. Let's see. But back in the 70s, they were fantastic, Ed said. Mama Burger Fries Root Beer, Ed says. They're pretty good here. I mean, too much fast food of any kind is not good, but every once in a while it's nice. Actually, the breakfast is good. Juno Survivor says people will just be calling it Ethan Park. Then people will wonder, who the fuck is Ethan? Very well. Very good indeed. Looks like we're losing Rosie. Well, we're 3.5 hours in. Fading may make it back tomorrow, most likely Sunday. You're the most fun. Take care. Glad you're back. Praying for Mr. Stax's grandpa. Well, thank you very much, Rosie. Have a good sleep. And Rosie's leaving us with a comment here that's so important. Everybody hit like, repost, and leave a comment. That'd be super if you did that, everybody. Just super. All right. Izzy says, not enough commie hate in school. 100%. We need more. I'm not joking. I'm not being facetious. Like, people should be taught from the earliest age how awful and dangerous and inhuman and anti-human communism is and what their fate is likely to be if their society succumbs to it. I'm not joking. I'm not being facetious. That is just that would be a benefit to mankind. Izzy says, wait, what? They appropriated our written language? How does the left explain that? Well, they don't. They just keep making up bullshit. Radio Shrimmer says, more commie hate, always. Chefrigo says, good night, y'all. I'm calling it. Great show tonight. Well, thank you very much. Maybe we should do one more ad, actually. Let's see if there's a fun ad for us to do. No, not really. Let's see. Well, maybe we should call it tonight because everybody's dropping off like flies. Maybe we should save the rest of what we got for tomorrow night because we're in 3.5 hours already. So, and we're doing a special, a rare, very rare Saturday night stream tomorrow. So maybe we should just leave it here. 3.5 hours. We've got all the fun stuff that you guys sent, and maybe we can have it a lighter stream tomorrow night. A bit more, a little bit less political, more. We can show all this stuff. Well, a lot of this is political too, but a lot of fun stuff in here. A little bit of a lighter tone, perhaps. Yeah, I think we should do it. Let's save it. Let's call it here. And let's call it here. Is there anybody on the thumbnail that we haven't gotten to? Let's see. Billie Eilish, Poilievre. I think we got everybody was on the thumbnail, didn't we? I think we did. All right. Yeah, I think everybody's tired. We're losing everybody now. It's too late. All right. So I guess that's it. I hope everybody shows up. Tomorrow night, 7:30. Again, the rare Saturday night stream. You're not likely to see one again for a long time, but I got to make up some time. I got to make it up to you guys, give you some extra streams because of, recent events. So let's do this again. 7:30 Saturday night. There's no hockey on. So what else the hell are you going to do? And because let's not forget, there's no Sunday stream. There is like I a couple of weeks ago, I already invited people over for the Super Bowl. That's just the way it is. So there's no Sunday stream, but there is a Saturday stream. And yeah, I guess that's it. So thanks, you guys. You guys were great tonight. You made me laugh quite a bit. And as I always say, if you guys weren't here, I wouldn't do these streams because it would be depressing because I would just be ranting like a lunatic to a cold and indifferent universe. And that would be depressing and sad. But since you guys are here, it's fun. So if you guys keep showing up, I will keep showing up. And yeah, everybody have a great night. Have a great start to your weekend. And I'll talk to you soon. Well, talk to you tomorrow. 7:30 tomorrow, Pacific time.